the rubble.
This was an evil act of violence. That's exactly what this was. And this is not Grand Blanc. This does not define Grand Blanc and who we are.
Grand Blanc Police Chief William Rennie also revealed the alleged shooter, 40-year-old Thomas Jacob Sanford, has been arrested on suspicion of burglary and driving while intoxicated in the past, but they still are not saying much as to the motive for all this. We've also learned from the chief of staff at a local hospital they treated 8 people total, 5 of which were gunshot victims. 1 was a child who has since been stabilized. Of those 8 total patients, 2 have been released from the hospital. 1 gunshot victim died in the ER. Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
First responders spent the night and most of the day digging through the rubble. KSL TV's Dan Rascone tells Inside Sources it was a super active scene when he arrived in Grand Blanc Township late last night.
Just an unbelievable situation as far as this building going up in flames. I mean, not only did this shooter come into the building and start shooting, then apparently, according to authorities, it looks like he used gasoline to light it on fire. And you may have seen some of the images of that fire. Just incredible. The entire building up in flames. The stories we're hearing, people running for their lives, people trying to get out of there. We're also hearing about many of the members of the church there shielding children and trying to get them out of the way. We're still waiting to hear a little bit more about these victims. We don't know what ages they are. We don't know if they're men or women or children.
ABC's Alex Perez is also at the scene and got some firsthand accounts of what happened from members at the church.
Paul Kirby ran outside after hearing a loud boom.
Just saw a guy with a gun, and he started opening fire at everybody.
One survivor, still in his blood-stained shirt, telling our ABC affiliate WXYZ the suspect was wearing camouflage and shot at his car as he tried to flee.
He pointed his gun at our car and fired 3 shots. 2 of them went through our windshield and just missed me, and luckily everybody else.
Police say the suspect also set the building on fire, plumes of black smoke filling the sky.
We will go in depth on the attack at 12:15, where we will hear more from the Grand Blanc Township Police Chief. President Russell M. Nelson, the president of the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints, has passed away. The church says President Nelson passed away peacefully just after 10 o'clock on Saturday night at his home in Salt Lake City. He gave his final general conference address in April of this year.
I invite you to take intentional steps to grow in your confidence before the Lord. Then as we go to our Heavenly Father with increasing confidence, we will be filled with more joy.
President Nelson's biographer, Deseret Book CEO Sherry Dew, says he attended Sunday school as a boy, even though his family didn't attend church regularly, and that led him on his own journey of faith.
He wanted to know more about the church. So he walked into a Deseret bookstore and found a woman working there and just said, imagine this little boy saying, I need to know more about the church. And do you have a book?
President Nelson was both a medical doctor and a PhD. He became a world-renowned heart surgeon. KSL TV's Carol Makita has more.
Dr. Russell M. Nelson was a member of the research team that developed the heart-lung machine that supported the first open-heart surgery in 1951.
He was creative. He was an innovator, a pioneer in terms of his ability to introduce cardiopulmonary bypass that made so many things possible in terms of open heart surgery and what we can do to save lives that otherwise would have died. That's the kind of man that he was when he was a professional physician.
His biography says he performed thousands of surgeries before his calling as an apostle. That included a valve replacement surgery on another man who would become a prophet later, President Spencer W. Kimball. Political leaders and faith leaders are reacting to the news. KSL News Radio's Becky Bruce has more.
Reactions poured in all day Sunday as people woke up to the news. Former Senator Mitt Romney wrote that one thing that touched him and his wife Ann the most was President Nelson's kindness. That's a common theme among these tributes. Senator John Curtis called President Nelson's 101 years a testament to service, faith, and vision. Governor Spencer Cox said he and his wife would treasure their moments with the prophet, describing him as a gentle leader with a voice for peacemaking. And Rabbi Avrimi Zippel echoed the sentiments, calling President Nelson a good and kind soul who believed that a life committed to divine principles was a life worth living across all faiths. Becky Bruce, KSL News Radio.
First look traffic. Ricky Meese, we're getting the noon hour started off with emergency traffic.
Emergency traffic, and it's going to stay that way, I'm afraid. If you're coming from Summit County, Park City into the valley, just be prepared for a long drive. It's due to lane restrictions westbound I-80 at the mouth of Parley's. The backups are into Mountaindale. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL News Time, 12:06.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation and a regular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduce stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. Stroke risk may increase. Eliquis can cause serious and potentially fatal bleeding. Don't take if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or bleed longer. A spinal injection increases blood clot risk, which may cause paralysis. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding or bruising, or back pain, tingling, numbness, muscle weakness, or incontinence. Aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
When you take your grandkids to Disney, do they know what's in your investment portfolio? Do they even care? They're busy having a great time, and you're busy making memories. At Galileo Wealth Management, we understand the nuts and bolts of retirement planning, our investments, the stock market, taxes, Social Security, Medicare, and more. But think about it. What are you trying to do here? Is your goal to beat the S&P? Or is your goal to make memories with your family? Our goal is to give you the confidence to spend in retirement without the fear of running out of money. Call Todd Kim at Galileo Wealth Management today, 801-516-3227. That's 801-516-3227, or go online to GalileoWealth.com. Let Todd Kim and Galileo Wealth Management help you make memories, not just money.
Thank you for joining us for Midday. Recapping our top story, everyone is accounted for after an attack on a Ward Meeting House for the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints. 4 people are dead, 8 people are injured. KSL News Time, 12:08. KSL's top national stories. President Trump is set to meet with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu any moment now. Now, they're expected to discuss the war in Gaza as the president tries to broker a peace deal. Here's ABC News Chief Foreign Correspondent Ian Pannell.
Remember that President Trump only a couple of days ago predicted an imminent end to the war, saying there is going to be peace. Now, 2 sources familiar with the matter telling us that Steve Witkoff, who's Trump's special envoy, met together with Netanyahu and his team over the weekend. They had 2 very long meetings in as many days to discuss what President Trump's put on the table, which is this 21-point Gaza ceasefire proposal.
The meeting follows new information released by the Hamas-run health ministry. Officials saying the death toll has surpassed 66,000 people as strikes continue to hit the region. ABC's foreign correspondent Marcus Moore has more.
Hospitals are still working with limited medical supplies, and also access to food remains scarce. There's still deaths being related to starvation that have been reported, including an infant who passed away today, according to health officials in Gaza.
Officials say another 79 deaths and hundreds of injuries have been reported in the past 24 hours. The Nutty Putty Caves are open once again for exploration, but only online in a virtual setting. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis explains.
The caves are well known in Utah for the tragic accident 16 years ago where 26-year-old John Edward Jones was trapped headfirst and after a 27-hour rescue attempt died. The cave was later sealed off. Developers at 3R Games say they have no intention of gamifying the disaster, and the map is purely intended as a respectful and educational way for people to explore the cave. They even got an expert to weigh in.
We brought in Brandon Kowalis, who had been there many times. An experienced explorer, cartographer, photographer, rescuer, and the author of the cave's official map, reproduced in the game.
You can crouch and crawl your way through the cave, receiving voice guide notes periodically with facts on the cave. The map is available as a free update in MetaQuest. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
Traffic and weather, it's brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. And Ricky Meese has the latest on our emergency traffic situation.
This is in Parley's Canyon, Maria, where heavy delays remain from just after SR 65 Mountaindale down to the mouth of the canyon, where we've had lane restrictions and an earlier crash. And those two combined are what's still creating these heavy delays. And this is not expected to be cleared and all lanes open until 3 o'clock this afternoon. So again, if you're traveling from Park City or Summit County or coming from anywhere from Echo or Evanston down to the Salt Lake County Valley area, just be prepared for extra travel time. Or if you know an alternate route, you may want to plan ahead and do that. Now, the rest of your Valley freeways are seeing a nice and quiet drive, but again, between Mountaindale down to the Valley floor, westbound on I-80, 40 to 45 minutes minimum of extra delays. Cedar City is nature's backdrop, where the forest actually does meet the trees. And a journey isn't about getting there, it's about being there. For open trails, events, and colorful adventure, visit cedarcity.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Hey, calling for highs in the low 80s today, mostly sunny skies. 62 overnight, partly cloudy. 76 tomorrow with a chance for thunderstorms, especially in the afternoon. 79 mostly sunny on Wednesday. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
And it's mostly cloudy, 73 degrees downtown. Coming up on Midday with Maria Shilaos. We will hear from the Grand Blanc Police Chief in Michigan. That's next, streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio. Sponsored by At Your Service Pros. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station. I had an opportunity on Friday to go out to the Peach Doors and Windows showroom, and I'm going to tell you, you want to know why you want to give your $1 million home the $1 million feel that it deserves. You can see how they will transform your house. It'll be an amazing transformation just with doors and windows. So make your someday project your today project. They are a trusted name in windows. They have luxury home. They have worked with luxury homes. They work with remodels. They work with new home builds. And it's not the same white vinyl windows that everyone else pushes. They have a wide range of windows to choose from. So, for example, they have the very contemporary larger glass windows with the slim frames that you've seen, or the European-style windows that tilt and turn that are very unique. And boy, I love how easy they are to clean those windows. Just a wide range of windows. And you owe it to yourself to go out and really see these windows, touch them, see how they open, see how the sliders just open so easily. They'll work with you. They have no high-pressure tactics. They really just want to make sure that your home is the best it can be, that it is that $1 million home that looks like a $1 million home. Plus, one great thing about Cindy and the folks out there, they want you to know they're not high pressure. We were talking about homes that are built in the 60s, like my parents' home that have the small windows. They can actually transform those small windows into just beautiful, contemporary, modern windows. Visit Peach Doors and Windows website and see why discerning Utah homeowners choose Peach for their replacement windows, or like I did, stop by the showroom, see what real window replacement should look like, and see their wide variety of doors as well. Again, don't forget the name, Peach Doors and Windows.
Let's go! You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
KSL News Time, 12:15. The three things you need to know this hour. First,
we're learning the suspect in yesterday's shooting at a Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints chapel in Michigan has a history of run-ins with law enforcement, and that one of the gunshot victims is a child. I'm KSL News Radio's Adam Small.
Second, the defense team for Tyler Robinson, the man accused of killing Charlie Kirk, are asking for more time to review the evidence. His next hearing is set for October 30th. Third, we do have an emergency traffic situation. Ricky?
This is in Parley's Canyon, westbound I-80 in the lower half of the canyon. Traffic inching along. It's due to a crash and lane restrictions at the mouth of Parley's. You'll find only one left lane open for all traffic to squeeze through. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Hey, a beautiful day on tap. Highs in the low 80s, but showers tomorrow. I'm Matt Johnson.
Mostly cloudy, 73 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studio. Time now for KSL's top national stories.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. As international criticism mounts over Israel's push to occupy Gaza, President Trump holding face-to-face talks with Israel's prime minister today on a new proposed ceasefire plan that would include freeing all remaining hostages at once held by Hamas and creating a future path for a Palestinian state.
As he welcomed the Israeli prime minister to the White House, President Trump told reporters he was, quote, very confident there would soon be peace in Gaza. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said Monday morning an agreement on a comprehensive plan to end the war there is, quote, very close.
The president knows when you get to a good deal, both sides are going to leave a little bit unhappy, but we need this conflict to end. The president's made that very clear.
Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
Later today, President Trump will meet with congressional leaders in a last-ditch attempt to avert a government shutdown. Funding runs out tomorrow night. Here's ABC's Selena Wang.
A shutdown means millions of federal employees, members of the military, TSA officers, ICE agents would go without pay until the government reopens. But the White House raising the stakes even further, directing agencies to consider mass firings of federal workers from programs that are not consistent with the president's priorities.
In Utah County, Tyler Robinson, the suspected killer of Charlie Kirk, made a virtual appearance at a hearing today. He and his attorney did not waive a preliminary hearing. He's due back in court October 30th. You're listening to ABC News.
Time now for the KSL In-Depth. We're learning more about the shooting and arson attack on a Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints Ward Meeting House in Michigan. Grand Blanc Police Chief William Rennie provided an update.
Evil. This was an evil act of violence. That's exactly what this was. And this is not Grand Blanc. This does not define Grand Blanc and who we are. We are a community, and I am confident that together we're going to build a stronger community due to this incident. Now, an update, this left 5 people dead, 8 people injured. As I said, this is an evil act and does not define Grand Blanc or who we are. At this time, what we know is everyone has been accounted for. We still are in the process of clearing out that church. But at this time, everyone is accounted for. We ask that you stay away from the scene. Let us work to clear this call so then we can get back to normal. That's what we all want. Grand Blanc Township police officers, the community of Grand Blanc Township, we're hurting. And we know that you are hurting as well with us.
We will continue to watch this story, break in with any updates when we have them. Again, 5 people are dead, 8 others injured. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. We do have an emergency traffic situation. Let's get the very latest now with Ricky Meese.
Stop and go delays westbound I-80 in the lower half of Parley's Canyon starting just after SR 65 Mountaindale. And that continues all the way to the mouth of the canyon. These delays are due to 2 different situations, a crash and lane restrictions. Right lanes are blocked, only one left lane open for everyone to filter through, and the crash is out of traffic. However, UDOT is stating that they're not expecting to have these lanes opened and the crash cleaned up until 3 o'clock this afternoon. So it could affect your afternoon drive if you're traveling between Summit County and Salt Lake County here in the Valley. Valley Freeway traffic, though, remains in good shape. No accidents and no delays. We've had a little bit of busy and slow traffic northbound I-15 going through the construction in Roy, but otherwise nice and quiet on your noontime drive in the Valley. Common Spirit, hospitals, clinics, and caregivers, all connected to advanced healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with human kindness is here. Hello, human kindness. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL 7-day forecast has a bit of a roller coaster ride. I got 81 today with mostly sunny skies. 76 tomorrow, chance for thunderstorms. Back to mostly sunny on Wednesday, high of 79. 80 mostly sunny on Thursday. Friday 73, mostly cloudy, chance for storms. We'll then go for 67 on Saturday, mostly cloudy, maybe a slight chance for something, but down to 65, partly cloudy on Sunday. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Mostly cloudy downtown, 73 degrees. The 7-day forecast is brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful. And a quick check of the markets, seeing a lot of positive numbers. The NASDAQ right now, the big winner, up by 0.5%. A complete update of your money news is next.
You worked hard for your 401k, but if you've left your job, your money might be sitting in the wrong hands. I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, and it's very possible that the 401k that you have had for years has hidden fees and limited investment choices. But if you're no longer with the company, that 401k may be at the mercy of your former employer. All of these things could be costing you thousands. Rolling over your 401k into an IRA can provide better investment options that align with your long-term goals. At Trajan Wealth, we're fiduciary advisors that are held to a higher standard with no hidden agenda and no hidden fees. Don't let your retirement dollars sit in an old plan, and don't roll it over to your new plan without consulting Trajan Wealth first. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600. That's 801-899-7600.
Advisory services are offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment
Ticket packages for the Utah Mammoth 2025-26 season are available now. From full season and half-season packages to mini plans and other flexible options, choose the ticket package that fits you best and be part of the action all season long. Call or text 801-325-PUCK to talk with a rep or visit nhl.com/Utah/tickets/season tickets to learn more.
The Management Minute is a service of the MBA program in the John M. Huntsman School of Business at Utah State University. I'm Professor Scott Hammond. A website copywriter is doing 3 times more work than she was a year ago because AI programming is helping her with composition, organization, and editing. A data scientist who used to analyze data now checks the AI-generated analysis and helps managers make better decisions. A college professor, okay, it's me, tells AI to create PowerPoint slides for a lecture, and they do it in 45 seconds, and they do a better job than it took him 2 hours to do. AI is changing everything we do in the workplace, and it certainly has disrupted the workplace. There are fewer entry-level jobs, more impersonal communications. AI is making the workplace a more productive and less personal place. Learn more about how to lead a productive workplace without losing the personal connections. Go to utahstatemba.com. That's utahstatemba.com. I'm Scott Hammond. Hope to see you in one of our classes.
KSL News Time 1224. Major League Baseball is dealing with a flurry of online ticket thefts tied to its ballpark app.
Some fans have arrived at ballparks this month to find their digital tickets have disappeared from their account, leaving fans stuck outside the stadium. Or like Dodgers superfan Eric Moreno, who says his MLB ballpark app was hit twice, with someone making off with potentially thousands of dollars worth of tickets.
We didn't have the tickets in our account, and all 3 of them gone.
It turns out the MLB says bad actors are accessing fans' tickets from their ballpark app and are stealing and reselling them.
ABC's Melissa Adon reporting. Watching Utah's money. Utah's dirty soda trends are driving the beverage industry. CNBC reports 2.7% of eateries are now offering them. That's up 1.5% from a decade ago. Brands are also releasing more flavors inspired by the mixed drinks, including cream soda Mountain Dew, mug root beer floats, and wild cherry and cream Pepsi. The U.S. is losing out on beef money. The country used to ship $120 million worth of beef products to China, but after the tariffs, China has turned to Australia for their supply. Australian beef imports rose to over $220 million a month. Almost 58 million pounds of corn dogs and other sausage-on-a-stick products are being recalled across the U.S. because wood pieces may be embedded in the batter. It includes State Fair corn dogs on a stick and Jimmy Dean pancakes and sausage on a stick, products from Hillshire Brands. Now 5 people have reported injuries. And taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow is up by 28 points, sitting at 46,275. S&P is up by 16. The NASDAQ up by 125 points, about 0.5%. The rumors have been swirling about the headliner for the Super Bowl halftime show, which has been announced. It is Puerto Rican superstar Bad Bunny. He released a statement with the NFL saying what he's feeling goes beyond himself. It's for those who came before him and ran countless yards so that he could come in and score a touchdown. He says, "This is for my people, my culture, and our history."
It's the Wi-Fi nightmare. Your kids are gaming online, your spouse is streaming, and all you want to do is watch an interesting YouTube clip, but the rest of your family has swiped all the zippity bandwidth. And you get the spinning wheel thingy, and you sound like an 8-year-old kid. It's not fair! But it doesn't have to be that way. Just imagine if your Wi-Fi was a lot smarter. Picture it, your TV, your phone, laptop, even your fancy fridge working together to make life easier. Well, Xfinity makes that dream a reality. You'd think they're telepathic. Really smart Wi-Fi that knows when your device needs a boost. The best equipment to stream 4 games at once with multi-view, and Xfinity Mobile that gives you Wi-Fi where you need it and 5G everywhere else. No more fighting for bandwidth at the end of a long day. Every device gets exactly what it needs. That's the magic of Xfinity. It's seamlessly in tune with you. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply.
We are watching right now as President Trump and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu speak at the White House. Let's listen in for a moment.
And I'm not just talking about Gaza. Gaza is one thing, but we're talking about much beyond Gaza. The whole deal, everything getting solved. It's called peace in the Middle East. So today is a historic day for peace, and Prime Minister Netanyahu and I have just concluded an important meeting on many vital issues, including Iran, trade, the expansion of the Abraham Accords, and most importantly, we discussed how to end the war in Gaza, but it's just a part of the bigger picture, which is peace in the Middle East, and let's call it eternal peace in the Middle East. So this is far more than anybody expected, but the level of support that I've had from the nations in the Middle East and surrounding Israel and neighbors of Israel has been incredible, incredible. Every single one of them. This afternoon, after extensive consultation with our friends and partners throughout the region, I'm formally releasing our principles for peace, which people have really liked, I must say. And these are done, not just routinely done, these are done with total consideration and working with the nations that we're talking about. All of these nations have made contributions to those suggestions. I want to thank the leaders of many Arab and Muslim nations for their tremendous support in developing the proposal, along with many of our allies in Europe. Europe has been very much involved, and as I was called by many of the European leaders, most of them saying, "Is this true? Are you really doing peace in the Middle East? This is the most incredible thing we've heard." Some think it's the biggest thing they've ever heard. They called just to find out, was it just a rumor or is it actually done? And then they said, have you spoken to the Arab leaders? Have you spoken to all of the other leaders that we have to get? A lot of people involved in this one. I also want to thank Prime Minister Netanyahu for agreeing to the plan and for trusting that if we work together, we can bring an end to the death and destruction that we've seen for so many years, decades, even centuries, and begin a new chapter of security, peace, and prosperity for the entire region. And I want to just say that my meetings and dialogue that we had with so many countries. Saudi Arabia, as an example, the king is a phenomenal person. The Emir of Qatar, he's an incredible people. UAE, and that's MBZ and ABZ. We're totally involved. These are the people that we've been dealing with and who've been actually very much involved in this negotiation, giving us ideas, things they can live with, things they can't live with. Pretty complex. I mean, after 2,000, 3,000 years, whatever it is, I guess it's got to be a little complex, or it would have been done a long time ago. The King of Jordan was with us, as you know, in the United Nations. The President of Turkey, President Erdogan, is a friend of mine, a strong man, but a good man. President of Indonesia, somebody who's an amazing leader, Prabowo. He is an amazing leader and respected by everybody. He was in the room with us. We were together with most of these people that I'm mentioning. Others were by phone or the next day.
President Trump emerging from a meeting with Israel's prime minister and a whole host of other folks that you heard him mention right there, saying that they are getting close to a ceasefire agreement in Gaza. We will continue to follow what the president has to say. We need to check traffic, though. Emergency traffic underway. And it's traffic and weather. It's brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Ricky?
Only one left lane open westbound I-80 at the mouth of Parley's Canyon due to lane restrictions and an earlier accident. It's not expected to have all lanes open, and the crash cleared until 3 o'clock this afternoon. And as a result, we have stop-and-go delays back to Mountaindale. The Good Feet store is supporting you with comfort no matter what the day brings. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Mostly sunny, highs right around 81 degrees today. Looks pretty good. 62 overnight. We'll go 76 tomorrow with a chance for thunderstorms. Back to dry weather on Wednesday. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
And 73 degrees downtown.
You're listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos
on KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
KSL's top story this hour: the man accused of shooting and killing political activist Charlie Kirk appeared in court today. The judge in Tyler Robinson's case addressed concerns about fairness to the case and to the suspect. KSL News Radio's Heather Peterson is live with more on today's court hearing. Heather?
Maria, at the request of his new defense attorneys, Robinson, the man accused of killing Charlie Kirk, was only heard and not seen for the virtual hearing today. Judge Tony Graff said moving forward, Robinson should appear in person so he can better consult with his legal team. The judge also vowed to show respect and impartiality to everyone involved.
I will carry out my duties with fidelity, transparency, and impartiality, treating every person who appears before me with the dignity and respect they are inherently due because they are human beings. Let me be clear, I will not put my finger on the scale of justice.
The defense team, who was introduced as Robinson's counsel for the first time, asked the judge for extra time to review all the evidence since the prosecution described it as substantial. The next hearing was scheduled for October 30th. Reporting live, Heather Peterson, KSL News Radio.
Utah Governor Spencer Cox appeared on 60 Minutes this weekend, reiterating that in the moment, he couldn't believe Charlie Kirk was shot and killed in Utah.
The video was already out. There was no fog of war. There was no doubt what had happened. That terrible, awful video that I wish I had not seen. I hate, again, social media, that almost every person in this country, including our young people, have seen that video on a loop over and over and over again. And I can't unsee it. I can't stop seeing it. Every time I close my eyes, that's what I see.
He added that he's been studying political violence.
I get accused on the right all the time of, I just want people to have a kumbaya moment. I want people to hold hands and just hug it out. And we're done with that. We're done holding hands and hugging it out. I'm not asking anybody to hold hands and hug it out. I'm not asking for that. I'm trying to get people to stop shooting each other. That's it. And I think what I'm doing and what I'm saying is the best way to do that. Some people will disagree with that, and that's okay. We should have these debates as a society. I'm not always right. I've made mistakes. Other politicians, I think, are making mistakes right now in trying to elevate the temperature. But I'm going to just keep having these conversations.
Governor Cox says it's not an exaggeration to say the future of the country is at stake. We are waiting funeral details for President Russell M. Nelson, president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, who passed away Saturday night at the age of 101. President Nelson spoke many times in his decades serving in church leadership, but in his final General Conference message in April of this year, President Nelson urged members to do more things to increase their confidence before God, like going to the temple.
As we diligently seek to have charity and virtue fill our lives, our confidence in approaching God will increase.
President Nelson served as an apostle for the last 41 years. He has served as church president since 2018. President Nelson is leaving behind a lasting legacy of service and family. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis reports.
President Nelson is the father of 10 children, has 57 grandchildren, and 167 great-grandchildren. They say he always made each one feel special. Ellen Iron is a granddaughter-in-law to President Nelson and spoke with KSL TV before his 100th birthday and says he knew not only all his grandchildren, but each great-grandchild by name.
When they see him, he says, "Oh, there's Bryce," or "There's Porter," and he makes each person just feel like they matter, and you can feel his love. And
other family members remember President Nelson would organize a family event each month, and it was obvious to them that his family was his top priority. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
First look traffic. Let's check in again with Ricky Meese.
We have heavy delays westbound I-80 in the lower half of Parley's Canyon due to an earlier crash and lane restrictions. Only a left lane open at the mouth of the canyon. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Join KSL News Radio and Jeff Kaplan live at the new Applebee's in Orem this Friday from 3 to 6:30 and enter to win rivalry game tickets and dinner for two.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-292-4541 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-292-4541. That's 800-292-4541. What do you have to lose? Call 800-292-4541. Again, 800-292-4541.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
President Trump holding a press conference at the White House talking about his talks with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu about peace in Gaza, and just saying right now that he will now be the head of the Board of Peace in Gaza. Let's listen in for a minute.
Killed and soldiers have been killed, and we can never forget October 7th, but thousands have paid the price for that, and now it's time to get our hostages back and get back to trying to build something that's really great and very important. In our meeting today, Prime Minister Netanyahu was very clear about his opposition to a Palestinian state, and he continuously mentions October 7th, and I understand that. Most people do. And I understand and respect his position on many things, but what he's doing today is so good for Israel. I notice that they have large crowds gathering in Israel all the time, and they have my name up. They like me for whatever reason, Bibi, I don't know, but they do like me. But they say two things: please get the hostages back, and please end the war. They've had it. It's had it. So I think it's a very popular thing you do, because he's a warrior. He doesn't know about getting back to a normal way of life, but he is a warrior, and Israel's lucky to have him. But now the people want to get back to peace. They want to get back to normalization in a true sense. Several countries have foolishly recognized the Palestinian state. As you know, some of our European friends allies, good people, but they're really, I think, doing that because they're very tired of what's going on for so many decades. They've been presidents and prime ministers for years, and during this time, having to do with the Middle East, all they're doing is talking about the same thing over and over. They want to see it get back. And nobody wants that more than me, or I believe Bibi too. But the people of Israel want it. They really want it. They want the hostages back. That includes the probably 32 bodies that we're talking about, 20 people that are living, 32 or so people that are dead, and they want to have peace. So let us not forget how we got here. Hamas was elected by the Palestinian people. Israel withdrew from Gaza thinking they would live in peace. Remember that a long time ago, they withdrew. They said, you take it. This is our contribution to peace. But that didn't work out. That didn't work out. It was the opposite of peace. They pulled away. They let them have it. And I never forgot that because I said, that doesn't sound like a good deal to me.
President Trump at the White House talking with reporters about his meeting with Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. We'll continue to follow what he has to say as he outlines parts of a ceasefire agreement that he says is imminent. We do have an emergency traffic situation that we need to cover for you. Traffic and weather, it's brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. And here's Ricky Meese.
No relief for drivers in Parley's Canyon westbound I-80 between Mountaindale and Foothill. And we're not expecting to have relief until later this afternoon, actually. Lane restrictions taking traffic down to only one open left lane of travel as you're approaching the mouth of the canyon. And we had an earlier crash in that area as well. It's been moved out of traffic, but again, stop and go and slow and go delays between SR 65 East Canyon and the I-215 East Belt Junction. If you don't have to travel this, don't. Otherwise, plan for an extra 40 to 45 minutes minimum to your normal travel time. Northbound I-15, a little busy as you're going from 4500 south towards South Salt Lake. No other problems reported on the Valley freeways at this time. Common Spirit Hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advanced healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with human kindness is here. Hello, human kindness. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
And Ricky, I'm not sure if you can turn your cameras to see if there is a fire at the mouth of Provo Canyon. We have had several reports now from texters about a fire at the mouth of Provo Canyon. So if you'll turn your cameras and possibly see if that's there, that'd be great.
Find anything, I'll keep you posted on that.
And I appreciate that. And our assignment desk is also checking with fire officials at this moment.
She's shaping up to be a beaut today. 81 degrees and mostly sunny skies. 62 overnight, partly cloudy. 76 tomorrow with a nice chance for thunderstorms by afternoon. Mostly sunny and 79 by Wednesday. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
And partly cloudy skies in downtown Salt Lake City and 73 degrees. Coming up on Midday, we'll hear more about President Russell M. Nelson's global legacy in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. That's next, streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Cooler weather. What a relief. Unless you have old drafty windows. Soon the heat will escape through the cracks and your energy bill's going to go through the roof. So now's the time to call Advanced Window Products and get brand new state-of-the-art custom windows and frames at factory direct pricing. The factory is right here in Salt Lake City where they've been building precision windows since 1986. And you're going to save a lot of money since there's no middleman markup. You save 30, even 40% on your new windows. Even better, call now and they'll give you an extra $2,500 off on 10 windows or more. Double pane argon-filled windows with a low-energy triple coating, any style, any color, and Advanced Windows gives you a lifetime warranty. If you have an issue, they're not 10 states away. They're right here in town, and they offer 0% 60-month financing. So make the call now. Get $2,500 off. 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa this weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa this weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates, this weekend only. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Friday, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
KSL News Time, 12:45. The three things you need to know this hour. First,
for the first time, Tyler Robinson, the man accused of killing Charlie Kirk, had his defense team in the courtroom. They asked for extra time to review all the evidence, and the judge said this case would be treated with fairness and respect. I'm KSL News Radio's Heather Peterson.
Second, President Trump just moments ago said that he and other allies are forming the Board of Peace. He says it will be responsible for recruiting and training new government that will be made up of Palestinians along with other highly qualified experts. Third, traffic and weather together. It's emergency traffic. Ricky?
That's Parley's Canyon with heavy delays westbound I-80 from just after SR 65 East Canyon all the way down to the valley floor, approaching the mouth of the canyon where traffic goes down to only one left lane of travel that's open. Ricky Meeson, the KSL Traffic Center.
Looking at dry skies today, mostly sunny, highs in the 80s. Then a chance for thunderstorms tomorrow. I'm Matt Johnson.
Partly cloudy, 75 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Time for KSL's top national stories.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. President Trump and Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, after holding talks on Gaza and seeing a new proposed broker by the U.S., are holding a joint conference. That proposal on peace includes demands for both Hamas and Israel to end the war immediately, all remaining hostages released within 72 hours of that ceasefire, and a possible path for a future Palestinian state. ABC's Karen Travers says Netanyahu, in a call with Qatari leaders, offered an apology for Israeli strikes in Doha.
According to a readout from the White House, the prime minister expressed deep regret that Israel's strike earlier this month unintentionally killed a Qatari serviceman, and also that they violated Qatari sovereignty, and affirmed that Israel will not conduct such a strike like that inside Qatar again.
In Michigan, state and federal authorities say they still don't have a motive for Sunday's church attack that killed 4 people. The suspected shooter drove his truck into an LDS church in Grand Blanc, shooting and then setting the building on fire. This is ABC News.
Time now for the KSL In-Depth. From his very first conference talk as an ordained member of the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints Quorum of the 12 Apostles, President Russell M. Nelson signaled an understanding of the importance of a global ministry.
He directs the affairs of his church by the power of the priesthood and by revelation through prophets who proclaim his doctrine to all people of the world.
It started even before his calling as an apostle. President Nelson spoke about his medical degree as a passport that took him all over the world.
In one country, so many people were sleeping in the streets and on sidewalks that we literally had to step over them as we walked. In another nation, our compassion was stretched almost to the breaking point as we yearned to help countless people in need. Young mothers with babies bundled on their backs begged for money while paddling their little sampan boats, which serve both as their shelter and as their mode of transportation. And oh, how our hearts ached for young men and women of another country who, one by one, were strapped as beasts of burden to wooden-wheeled carts, heavily laden with weighty cargo. As far as our eyes could see, the endless caravan of vehicles continued, pulled by the dint of human toil.
His medical experience combined with his faith to open doors. Elder Neil L. Anderson noted in a 2017 conference talk, he took President Spencer W. Kimball's instructions to heart.
In 1979, 5 years before his call as a general authority, Brother Nelson attended a meeting just prior to General Conference. President Spencer W. Kimball challenged all present to lengthen their stride in taking the gospel to the entire world. Among the countries President Kimball specifically mentioned was China, declaring, "We should be of service to the Chinese. We should learn their language. We should pray for them and help them."
President Nelson then learned Mandarin, introducing open-heart surgery to China, performing operations, and lecturing at universities. Over the years, he visited more than 130 countries and continued to speak throughout his ministry about the importance of sharing the gospel. We do have an emergency traffic situation. Traffic and weather. It's brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Ricky?
We have had slow and go and stop and go delays westbound I-80 in the entire lower portion of Parley's Canyon, in part due to an earlier crash and lane restrictions and now stalled vehicle westbound I-80 in one of the center lanes prior to the quarry. So all of it has just made for a very, very bogged down drive. If you're coming from Summit County into the valley, plan an alternate route, delay your travel time, or make sure you have extra travel time to get through these slow speeds going from Mountaindale down to Foothill Drive. Now, we also have another problem on I-80. This time it's on the eastbound side. A crash on eastbound I-80. It's going to be east of Kimball Junction. It's quickly been moved out of traffic to the shoulder. No real backups there. In the valley, we've had some slowing on northbound I-15 in Murray, going from 53rd to about 4500 south. There was a medical situation in traffic. Had been blocking a right lane. They're trying to get that moved out of traffic. Just some residual busy traffic in the area, but speeds are quickly improving. When you need the financial products and services for every stage of life, Cyprus Credit Union is there for whatever the future holds. Visit cypruscu.com today. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL 7-day forecast has some nice weather to start, but then we're looking at a cool down as we head into the weekend. Mostly sunny, 81 today. Tomorrow, chance for afternoon thunderstorms, 76. 79 and mostly sunny on Wednesday. Thursday, 80 degrees. And then how about Friday? 73, mostly cloudy with a 30% chance for scattered showers. We're down to 67 on Saturday. Partly cloudy, 20% chance. And then partly cloudy, 65 as we move into Sunday. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
Sunny, 75 degrees in downtown Salt Lake City. And this 7-day forecast brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful.
Let's go! You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Offer not valid in all states or where prohibited by law. Loans are subject to lender approval. See website for details.
Honey, the credit card bill came, and we're maxed out.
Maxed out cards, rent is due. We just need some extra cash to help us get by.
Maybe we should go to 27cash.com.
With our bad credit?
27cash.com is one of the largest personal loan networks. They can help people with any type of credit get up to $5,000, and cash can hit our bank account as soon as tomorrow.
When you need extra cash, go to 27cash.com. That's 27cash.com. 27cash.com.
Hi, this is Doug Ryden. For years, I've been telling you about products I truly believe in and that we use in our home. And one is Kinetico. We all know the downsides of hard water, tough on home appliances, frustrating spots on shower doors, but it also affects your personality. When you shower, does the water feel invigorating? Hard water can leave your skin feeling sticky and itchy. A Kinetico soft water system changes everything. It's like having a luxurious spa experience when you shower, making your daily routine something you look forward to. Kinetico, it's a difference you can feel. Their patented system uses far less salt than competitors, and they're exclusively focused on water softeners. They're the experts in their field, and they'll show you the difference for free with no obligation to buy. Call Connecticut Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake, an authorized independent dealer, at 801-576-8600, or check them out online at softwaterutah.com. Start enjoying your water. Spoil yourself every day.
J&J Garden Center is your fall headquarters. Now through November 1st, save 20% on perennials, shrubs, containerized trees, soils, fountains, and more. You'll also find clearance trees up to 50% off. Fall is the perfect time to plant pansies, mums, and fall bulbs. Don't forget pumpkins, gourds, strawbills, and corn stalks. Plus, explore our gift shop for cozy fall decor and seasonal finds. Hurry and visit us in Layton today, and let's get your garden fall ready. J&J Garden Center, where fall begins.
People think saving money is hard, but really, it's easy. It's as simple as changing a few spending habits. For free tips on how to save the easy way, check out feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
KSL News Time 12:55. Dolly Parton is delaying her Las Vegas show, saying that she's suffering from health issues.
Working 9 to 5, what a way to make a living.
This morning, Dolly Parton is explaining her decision to delay her upcoming Las Vegas residency by more than 9 months, citing health challenges. The 79-year-old assuring the public that she has no plans to retire, saying, "Don't worry about me quitting the business because God hasn't said anything about stopping yet, but I believe he is telling me to slow down right now." Just this year, Dolly suffered the loss of her husband of nearly 60 years.
ABC's Morgan Norwood reporting. Watching Utah's money, President Trump is cutting the price of his gold card immigration plan from $5 million to $1 million. CNBC describes it as one of the most coveted deals in the visa market. The card is supposed to help someone get U.S. residency in record time. Jimmy Kimmel is coming back to all channels this time. Nexstar, Sinclair, the two major stations refusing to put Kimmel back on the air, have decided to air the late night show once again. That means that you'll be able to watch it here in Utah. Today is National Coffee Day. USA Today reports 66% of Americans drink at least 1 cup a day. That is up 7% from 2020. Some chains are offering deals to celebrate, including Dunkin', Krispy Kreme, Starbucks, Dutch Bros, and Beans and Brews. And taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow is up by 54 points, sitting at 46,301. S&P up by 14. The NASDAQ up by 110 points. Wednesday is October 1st, and lots of people are starting to plan their Halloween costumes.
He did the Monster Man.
Google Trends and Spirit Halloween are taking a look at some of the most popular costumes this year, and they include characters from Netflix's K-pop Demon Hunters, Wicked for Good, Fantastic Four, First Steps, and Pennywise, the clown from Stephen King's It.
Tuesday on KSL, what 3 words?
Tremor, beeline, glee.
What are they for?
Granny, months, receptions.
And why does this guy wish he had them?
They could find it in the precise location where I was and got me help.
KSL takes you on a ride that you're sure to come back from.
When your location comes down to just 3 words.
And how to find your 3 words.
That makes our job so much easier.
The 3-word locator, Tuesday at 10 on KSL and the KSL Plus app.
Ready to roll? Golden West Credit Union can help you drive off in the perfect car, truck, or SUV with an auto loan as low as 5.24% APR. Whether you're shopping new or used, you can hit the road knowing you got a sweet deal. Just ask for Golden West financing when you're at the dealership or apply online in minutes at gwcu.org. Get the rate you want with the service you'll love. Golden West Credit Union.
We'll take care of you.
Sign up for KSL Text Alerts. Get breaking news and traffic updates by texting the word news to 57500. Want access to exclusive contests? Text contest to 57500. Jazz fans, text the word jazz for breaking jazz updates. And Cougar fans, text BYU to 57500 for the latest on the Cougars. Message and data rates may apply.
Emergency traffic sponsored by Mountain America turned everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Ricky?
We are getting reports of a new accident, and this is going to be, or rather debris in the road westbound Bangerter Highway. It's after Redwood Road, but prior to 2700 West in the 2 left lanes. Crews may be out trying to get that cleaned up. So far, I can't see it in my traffic cameras, but the good thing is I can't see big backups in the area either, so that's good to know. Now, where I do see delays, that's Parley's Canyon, where emergency traffic continues westbound to I-80, going from Mountaindale all the way down to the mouth of Parley's, where only a left lane of traffic is open for all cars to get through. Ricky Meeson, the KSL Traffic Center.
75 degrees downtown.
KSL FM Midvale, KSL Salt Lake City.
New details today in the deadly shooting at a church house in Michigan. Members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints attempting to help a person they thought accidentally drove into their building.
I go out the doors and I see a gunman come out with just holding a gun and start shooting. Once I saw him start shooting, I turn around and start running back inside.
The time is 1 o'clock on Monday, September 29th. It's midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. The latest on the investigation and how the community of Grand Blanc is stepping up to help their brothers and sisters. Also this hour,
President Nelson loved serving people.
The life, legacy, and ministry of President Russell M. Nelson of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We have special coverage looking back on a life filled with service. But first, our top stories. We are learning new details after police say a man shot people inside a Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints meeting house in Michigan and lit the building on fire. 5 people are dead, including the shooter. Local police are now saying they have everyone in the church accounted for, but they are not done searching the rubble.
This was an evil act of violence. That's exactly what this was. And this is not Grand Blanc. This does not define Grand Blanc and who we are.
Grand Blanc Police Chief William Rennie also revealed the alleged shooter, 40-year-old Thomas Jacob Sanford, has been arrested on suspicion of burglary and driving while intoxicated in the past. President Trump says he and other allies are forming the Board of Peace. In a meeting with Israel's prime minister this afternoon, Mr. Trump said they have reached a ceasefire deal that would end the war in Gaza. As part of the agreement, he would lead this new board to help transition from war to peace. He says it will be responsible for recruiting and training a new government that will be made up of Palestinians, along with other highly qualified experts. The president is federalizing national troops again. This time, he wants them sent to Portland, Oregon.
In a statement, the Oregon National Guard says, quote, "Please remember, this is still us, your neighbors and friends. Our job is to protect Oregonians and defend national interests when directed as we are now," end quote. Oregon is asking a court to stop the president's federalization of the state's National Guard. Oregon's Attorney General saying,
"This is a long line in a pattern of behavior to expand the executive authority."
It comes after President Trump said on social media he was authorizing full force, if necessary, to combat protests he says are interfering with federal enforcement in Portland. Alex Stone, EBC News.
Your money at this moment, the Dow up by 47 points, sitting at 46,295. S&P up by 13 points, and the NASDAQ up by 98 points. Traffic and weather, it's brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. And tell us about that situation in Parley's, Ricky.
Well, the delays remain. Slow and go and stop and go speeds westbound I-80 from Mountaindale all the way down to the mouth of Parley's, where only a left lane of traffic is open, with lane restrictions and a crash. Now, be prepared. This isn't expected to be cleared and more lanes open until 3 o'clock this afternoon. Downtown drivers, a crash being cleaned up at 7th West, 8th South. Also in Weber County, authorities are asking drivers to avoid the area of Adams Avenue and 30th Street in Ogden. So Weber County drivers, heads up, a gas leak there is forcing traffic out of the area. Your fall one-tank trip starts in Cedar City, Parowan, and Bryan Head. Scenic byways and highways, live theater, mountain biking, ATVing, vibrant art, and downtown eateries. Visit cedarcity.com. Ricky Meeson, the KSL Traffic Center.
A high today of 81 degrees. About a 10% chance of showers, that chance increasing to 60% tomorrow, and the temperature dropping down into the 70s. Right now, 75 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-583-6681. That's 800-583-6681.
Switching to Progressive is a game-winning call. And that reminds us of other game-winning calls in the history of sports.
It was a doubleheader in August and really hot inside the concession stand. So instead of waiting for people to come to me, I figured I'd walk around yelling, "Hot dogs here!" And that's how I became the first hot dog vendor in sports.
Okay, not really a game-winning call, but it was a good call. You can make one too. Switch to Progressive and you could save hundreds. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states.
Worried about market losses? If headlines are keeping you up at night, it's time to take control. Hi, I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, and I know you've worked hard to save. But in times like these, what if can turn into what now? If you're planning to retire or are in retirement, you need a strategy that helps protect your future. At Trajan Wealth, you can capture market gains, protect your account from losses, and guarantee income for life. Right now, you could receive a bonus of up to 30% or annual growth of up to 10% for retirement income. You heard me right. An upfront bonus of up to 30% or annual growth of up to 10%, all guaranteed to boost your lifetime income in retirement. Don't leave your future to chance. Plan with confidence. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600. That's 801-899-7600.
Annuity guarantees are based on the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company, DBA, in most states as Trajan Wealth Insurance Solutions.
Thanks for tuning into Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Communities in mourning today following the deadly shooting and a fire at a church in Michigan. Many of that same community also in mourning following the death of President Russell M. Nelson, president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We'll have much more on President Nelson in just a few minutes. But this hour, we begin with the latest updates from Michigan, where a meeting house belonging to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints was attacked.
The Michigan church shooting. Special coverage on KSL News Radio.
Services were well underway when the shooting and fire began. 5 people killed, including the suspected shooter. Our special coverage on Midday begins with KSL News Radio's Adam Small.
Police in Michigan are saying they have accounted for everyone who was at the church yesterday, but they are not done searching the rubble.
This was an evil act of violence. That's exactly what this was. And this is not Grand Blanc. This does not define Grand Blanc and who we are.
Grand Blanc Police Chief William Rennie also revealed the alleged shooter, 40-year-old Thomas Jacob Sanford, has been arrested on suspicion of burglary and driving while intoxicated in the past, but they still are not saying much as to the motive for all this. We've also learned from the chief of staff at a local hospital they treated 8 people total, 5 of which were gunshot victims. 1 was a child who has since been stabilized. Of those 8 total patients, 2 have been released from the hospital. 1 gunshot victim died in the ER. Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
Chief of Police for Grand Blanc Township, William Rennie, speaking at a press conference just a short time ago. He describes the attack.
Evil. This was an evil act of violence. That's exactly what this was. And this is not Grand Blanc. This does not define Grand Blanc and who we are. We are a community, and I am confident that together we're going to build a stronger community due to this incident. Now, an update, this left 5 people dead, 8 people injured. As I said, this is an evil act and does not define Grand Blanc or who we are. At this time, what we know is everyone has been accounted for. We still are in the process of clearing out that church, but at this time, everyone is accounted for. We ask that you stay away from the scene. Let us work to clear this call so then we could get back to normal. That's what we all want. Grand Blanc Township police officers, the community of Grand Blanc Township, we're hurting. And we know that you are hurting as well with us.
Again, police say everyone is accounted for after the attack on the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints Ward Meeting House. ABC spoke to a man caught in the crossfire. Paul Kirby says it was so unexpected.
So we're sitting in a sacrament meeting, and we hear a loud boom coming from the back wall of the chapel. I see the back wall kind of buckle and lift up, and several of us men decided to get up and go outside to look at what happened, just in case somebody ran off the road and just hit the building. We didn't think anything bad was going to happen. I go out the doors, and I see a gunman come out with just holding a gun and start shooting. Once I saw him start shooting, I turn around and start running back inside. So I had gotten about 10 feet from the door, and just started running back inside. I felt some shrapnel hit my left leg, and then a bullet went through the glass door about a foot from me.
We are watching for more updates, and we'll provide new information as we get it. You can get the latest information here on air, on the KSL News Radio app, and at kslnewsradio.com.
Remembering President Russell M. Nelson. Special coverage on KSL News Radio.
Another story we are following here on Midday is the death of President Russell M. Nelson, the president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. He passed away late Saturday night at the age of 101. Memories of President Nelson have been pouring in over the last day from other church leaders, community leaders, and so many more. I spoke with Ryan Jensen, editor of the Church News, for his perspective on what it's been like following President Nelson over the past few years.
Well, Maria, it's been an amazing few years to watch President Nelson, but I think one of the important things to recognize about him is that his ministry spans back many more years than just the 8 that he was president of the church. He has been involved in church service, or had been involved in church service for decades before that. And one of the things that matters, and why I point that out, is because there are so many individuals who say, oh, well, look at these church leaders and what are they really doing? And I have to say, the thing that I've learned the most watching President Nelson and those who he serves with is that they live a life of consecration that few people in the world will ever understand. President Nelson, everybody recognizes the amount of energy that he brought to the calling when he was called as prophet, to the point that there are the stories of him being told, you're going to have to cut back on your skiing now. But part of the calling is that he was going constantly. He is the president of a 24-hour-a-day worldwide church. And so he was taking the phone calls and replying to the emails and making sure that leaders and members of the church everywhere in the world were heard, that the things that concerned them mattered to him as well, and that he would then turn around and prayerfully consider the questions that he was being asked. And so to talk about following him and covering him is to know that he was dedicated to this every second of every day of his life.
The ultimate sacrifice. Yeah. But yet we have heard from his family members who don't feel like he sacrificed his time with them or their relationships.
I think Elder David A. Bednar of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles described this most adequately when he said that this is kind of an act of balancing spinning plates. And he would say, it's not trying to keep everything perfectly balanced all the time, but you're trying to keep everything balanced while it's still moving so that things can keep revolving where they need to keep revolving. And he was really good at being where he was. President Nelson, if he was with his family, he was with them 100%. And so if that meant being with them for a family Christmas party and him sitting down to play the piano, he wasn't thinking about something else. He was thinking about, I want to play a Christmas song with my children, with my grandchildren. And he would definitely be in the place where he was, giving it 100% of his attention.
it would be impossible to quantify what he has left the community with. But how would you say maybe he's left his mark? Has he left his mark in a different way than former presidents?
So when he became president of the church, there were different media outlets who said, well, this is a prophet who he's pretty advanced in age. I don't think we're going to expect a lot of changes from him. And I don't know that he could have anticipated the things that were going to come. I don't want to even pretend that I know what kinds of things he knew before he became the president of the church. But the thing is, he, like every prophet before him, responded to the moment. He responded with acting in the way that Heavenly Father prompted him to respond. He wouldn't just pray and then feel good inside. He would pray and then do whatever he was asked to do. And so did he leave a mark? He left a mark. Did he plan on leaving the mark he left? I don't know. But when people look back at him and talk about what he did during his tenure as president of the church, no one is going to forget that he was the president of the church during a time of a worldwide pandemic. No one had expected that to come, but he responded to it in a way that made sure that people felt comforted, in a way that people knew we're going to be okay and we're going to get through this. And he was able to reach to people at a certain level as individuals and in their homes to say, this is a great time to refocus your efforts on how are you becoming the best person that you are here to become. Don't worry about the noise going on around you. Focus on what you can focus on making your home a better place, making yourself a better parent, making yourself a better child. And how can you do that so that you can have peace in your home and in your life? How can you focus on studying the scriptures and words of previous prophets in a way that will allow you to feel the Spirit touching your life and giving you the comfort that you need right now? And that's something that lasts well beyond the time frame of a pandemic. That's something that can teach people a principle that they can be guided by throughout the rest of their lives. So for me, that's one of the things that really will stand out from his time.
That's an incredible message, too, and one that we can all take from and grow from daily, right?
And there were so many of those messages. Give thanks, living a life full of gratitude. When he said to turn social media into a journal of gratitude, how many people didn't enjoy seeing what other people were thankful for to reflect and say, oh, I'm thankful for that too. That was a beautiful time for members of the church to remember the things that they've been blessed with. Think celestial, so that people would have a more eternal perspective and not just about what's happening now. There were so many of those quotes. They are not pithy. He meant every one of them that he said, and he used them so that individuals would again remember what the outcome is that they were seeking for in life.
In covering all of the events, is there one particular event or country or moment that you would like to highlight?
Wow.
That stands out for you?
You know, there are a lot of moments, and I'll try not to be too emotional about this, but Maria, President Nelson loved serving people. He gets talked about in terms of languages. He spoke 11 different languages, but he didn't speak 11 different languages because he just wanted to learn languages. He did it because he wanted to connect with people. And you could not go with him anywhere and not have him try to connect and talk with people. You saw that when he reached out to children. You saw that when he reached out to people who had a specific need and who wanted to ask something of him or communicate something to him. He was completely invested in their returns. And so for me, one of the times that stands out the most is actually him speaking with Amos Brown from the Baptist Church in San Francisco. The two of them built such a relationship together, such a great friendship together. They didn't come from the same religious backgrounds. They didn't speak exactly the same language in that way. But when the two of them were together, Reverend Brown did say they were brothers from another mother. And he said that with such great love and respect for President Nelson, because he knew that President Nelson was trying to understand where he came from, where those who worshiped with him came from. And they wanted to find common ground together to be able to work together. And I think that's one of the lasting legacies that I'll take away from this, having watched him with other religious leaders, with community leaders, to try and bring people together. that matters a lot today.
It matters a lot for every single one of us. Anything else that we should say?
You know, President Nelson, again, he'll be remembered for a lot of things. But I hope that people will take time to write down what it is that stands out to them, because what stands out to me might not be what stands out to someone else. And he was if you look back to his tenure, he even turned over his journals from his time when he was a doctor. He was a heart surgeon. He turned over all of those journals to the University of Utah so that they could have them and so that other medical students could learn from them. He was one who loved to write down the things that were happening in his life, the things that stood out to him. And I think that people right now can do the same thing, because whatever you write down as having stood out to you is going to matter to someone else who goes through one of these transitions in their own life. What are you doing right now to say, I know he was a prophet? What did you learn from him? And that may set somebody else to learn from a prophet in the future and to feel the Spirit working in their lives, to have the happiness and the joy that he preached during his 101 years.
Ryan Jensen is the editor of the Church News. Remembering President Russell M. Nelson, our special coverage continues after the break with a closer look at his legacy and other aspects of his storied life. But first, KSL Traffic, brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Ricky Meese continues with emergency traffic.
Yeah, this is Parley's Canyon, westbound I-80. We've had lane restrictions, we've had a crash, and that continues to be in place, the lane restrictions, until about 3 o'clock this afternoon, and that's why we still have slowdowns going from East Canyon in the Mountaindale area all the way down to the valley floor. No matter the weather, your feet can feel fantastic. Find the Good Feet location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
How good would it be to, before the end of the year, before the holidays, take off all those extra pounds that you're carrying around? With the help of Salt Lake City Fat Loss, I have lost more than 40 pounds. This is a great program. It resets your metabolism so you can keep that weight off for good. And for me, it really helped me lose those pounds without all the stress and frustration of just trying to figure it out on my own. I love the program because for the first time, I didn't have to exercise for over an hour every day to boost my metabolism. It's also a simple plan. It fits perfectly into a busy schedule. It's easy to follow. It's all natural with great resources to keep you accountable. There's no extra stuff to buy, so it costs a lot less money than other programs, and there are no injections, surgery, or pills. You don't have to worry about any possible side effects. And they have a great app. It gives you daily ideas of how to be successful. It gives you inspiration. It gives you recipes so you don't get bored with the food you eat. I've lost more than 40 pounds. Many of their clients lose up to a pound per day. Find out more. Save $200 now at slcfatloss.com, or you can call them 801-450-1882, slcfatloss.com, slcfatloss.com.
Cooler weather. What a relief, unless you have old drafty windows. Soon the heat will escape through the cracks and your energy bill is going to go through the roof. So now's the time to call Advanced Window Products and get brand new state-of-the-art custom windows and frames at factory direct pricing. The factory is right here in Salt Lake City, where they've been building precision windows since 1986, and you're going to save a lot of money since there's no middleman markup. You save 30, even 40% on your new windows. Even better, call now and they'll give you an extra $2,500 off on 10 windows or more. Double pane argon-filled windows with a low-energy triple coating, any style, any color, and Advanced Windows gives you a lifetime warranty. If you have an issue, they're not 10 states away. They're right here in town, and they offer 0% 60-month financing. So make the call now. Get $2,500 off. 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation and a regular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduce stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. Stroke risk may increase. Eliquis can cause serious and potentially fatal bleeding. Don't take if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or bleed longer. A spinal injection increases blood clot risk, which may cause paralysis. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding or bruising, or back pain, tingling, numbness, muscle weakness, or incontinence. Aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Respiratory virus season is quickly approaching, meaning we'll see more flu, COVID, and RSV in our community. The good news is vaccines are available that will help prevent these infections and keep people healthy. For flu and COVID, everyone aged 6 months and older are recommended to be vaccinated to help protect ourselves and our families against serious illness. Fall remains the best time to be vaccinated. Respiratory viruses circulate year-round, but peak late fall through winter. Your doctor can recommend which vaccines are best for you and your family.
Brought to you by Intermountain Health and KSL News Radio.
Remembering President Russell M. Nelson. Special coverage on KSL News Radio.
You are listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. We are continuing our special coverage looking back at the life of President Russell M. Nelson, President of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. One of the things President Nelson will be most remembered for will be the vigorous expansion of temple announcements and construction. We get details from KSL News Radio's Don Brinkerhoff.
We are grateful to announce our plans to build a temple in each of the following 20 locations.
Since Russell M. Nelson was called as the president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, 200 new temples have been announced and more than 40 have been dedicated.
We want to bring the house of the Lord even closer to our members, that they may have the sacred privilege of attending the temple as often as their circumstances allow. As I announce our plans to construct 20 more temples, I ponder and praise pioneers, past and present, whose consecrated lives have helped to make this history.
During his presidency, announcements of new temples became so common that in April of 2019, he had to ask people not to cheer during those announcements.
Now, please, listen carefully and reverently. If I announce a temple in a place that is special to you, may I suggest that you simply bow your head with a silent prayer of gratitude in your heart. We do not want any verbal outbursts to detract from the sacred nature of this conference and the Lord's holy temples.
In addition to announcing new temples, President Nelson oversaw some changes in the way the ordinances in the temple are presented and announced alterations in the questions members are asked in order to be given a temple recommend.
Each person who wants to enjoy the blessings of the temple will have 2 interviews. Some of those questions have recently been edited for clarity.
In announcing the changes, President Nelson emphasizes that the ordinances themselves were not changing, just the presentation. In April 2018 General Conference, President Nelson told the members of the church, "My dear brothers and sisters, construction of these temples may not change your life, but your time in the temple surely will." Don Brinkerhoff, KSL News Radio.
While he was a man of many intellectual talents, President Nelson was also a gifted musician with a focus on the piano. KSL 5 TV's Carol Makita has more on that part of President Nelson's life.
He was graduated from East High School, participating in both athletics and the arts, where his perfect pitch was put to good use.
I know that when he was in choir in high school, they would ask him for the note, and it would be right on every time.
And he used his musical talents when the First Presidency and the Quorum of the 12 met together in the Salt Lake Temple.
He's conducting the meeting, but then he runs over to play the organ so that we can sing, and then he just does everything and does it superbly well.
Earlier this month, more pieces of the updated hymn book of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints came out. The additions include a new hymn with lyrics written by President Nelson titled Our Prayer to Thee. It's 1:30 midday at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Shilaos. Some of the stories we are watching this hour: grief. Many people around the world are feeling it today. We'll take a deep dive into the grieving process and how you can work through it during difficult times. Government shutdown watch, the latest on the efforts to fund the government past tomorrow. And KSL traffic, Ricky.
No relief for delays in Parley's Canyon, westbound I-80. We're still seeing backups starting at Mountaindale. Maria?
A high today of 81 right now, 79 downtown. KSL's top local stories in 1 minute.
ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. A deal to end the war in Gaza not done yet, but President Trump, at a joint briefing with Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, says there is backing for a new U.S. brokered peace proposal.
At least we're at a minimum very, very close, and I think we're beyond very close.
The 20-point plan includes an immediate ceasefire, followed by the release of all remaining hostages. ABC's Mary Bruce has more.
Of course, while they may be in agreement on what the end of this war should look like, Hamas is not on board. And it's also not clear, I should say, whether Netanyahu is fully 100% on board with this complete plan.
The plan also calls for Hamas to disarm and for a new governing body in Gaza. The deadline for a government shutdown looms. Congressional leaders set to meet with President Trump this afternoon on efforts to strike a compromise before funding runs out tomorrow night. Tyler Robinson, the man charged with Charlie Kirk's murder, at a hearing today chose to move forward with a preliminary hearing. He's due back in court October 30th. This is ABC News.
KSL's top local story. The defense team for Tyler Robinson, that man accused of killing Charlie Kirk, appeared in court to represent him for the first time. However, Robinson did not appear in court or on video. Judge Tony Graff suggested that change in the future so Robinson can engage with his legal team.
Counsel, regardless of who is watching, whether it is the nation or a single individual, we must fulfill our roles with integrity, civility, and diligence.
Prosecution said they have a voluminous amount of evidence to share, so Robinson's team asked for extra time to review it all. His next hearing was set for October 30th. The chancellor and athletic director at the University of Colorado in Boulder have issued a statement condemning what they call vulgar chants and religious slurs being shouted during Saturday night's football game at BYU fans.
The chants reached a point that the broadcast team mentioned how ugly it was during the postgame show here on KSL News Radio, saying they even saw some police removing some people from the crowd. Now a statement from Colorado's athletic director and chancellor say they strongly condemn what happened, and they say the behavior does not reflect the values, inclusion, and integrity of their campus. The statement also says that those found responsible will be held accountable.
Similar chants and statements were issued after other games in past years. Other local stories KSL is following. Nutty Putty Cave is again open for exploration if you have a VR set. MetaQuest developers 3R created the virtual map as a way for people to respectfully explore the cave and consulted with Brandon Kowalis, who is part of the rescue attempt and has mapped the entire cave himself.
We also used publicly available photos, first-hand accounts, and documents describing both the layout and the feel of the cave.
The map is meant to be educational. The VR version includes audio facts and history. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow up by 38 points, sitting at 46,285. S&P up by 10. The NASDAQ gets up by 74 points. Traffic and weather is brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Here's Ricky Meese.
We do have a problem for Tooele County drivers. If you are traveling Main Street, SR 36, we do have our typical delays with the road work, but also a stalled vehicle southbound SR 36 Main Street at Mills Junction, and it's blocking a couple of right lanes of travel. There is also an accident eastbound I-80. This is after Kimball Junction. It's out of traffic, but it's the westbound side of I-80 where you do have the heavy delays that go from East Canyon, SR 65 in the Mountaindale area, all the way down to the mouth of Parley's Canyon. Wasatch Front businesses and property managers, GoPave Utah provides all asphalt repairs for your parking. For patching and paving along the Wasatch Front, contact GoPave Utah. GoPave Utah, GoPaveUtah.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
We have a slight chance of showers today, increasing to a 60% chance by tomorrow. Today's high 81, 76 for a high tomorrow, 79 degrees right now at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Donate your car to Charity Hotline. This is Roger.
Hi, Roger, I'd like to donate my car.
Yeah, good. Leave the keys in it, park it on the street, and we'll send a thug. Tow.
Where's your office?
In New Jersey, where you want it to be.
Well, Roger, I want to make sure my donation helps Utah kidney patients.
It will.
Which ones?
Well, does it matter?
Yes, I want the money to stay in Utah.
And boy, have you got the wrong number.
If you want your car donation to help people here in Utah, turn your car into a kidney car for the National Kidney Foundation of Utah and Idaho. Hi, this is Luz Lewis Perez. Kidney Cars is the Beehive State's #1 choice for charity car donation since 1990. When you donate your car to Kidney Cars, funding stays in Utah to help local Utah kidney patients and funds local medical research. Kidney Cars gets donors the highest tax deduction, along with free towing. Visit towcars.org and learn more. That's Tow Cars with a K, like kidney. That's TOWKARS.org.
You are listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. With everything going on in the world right now, it can feel scary. The news is bound to make you sad, upset, and angry. Many people right now grieving. Members of the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints grieving the loss of President Russell M. Nelson, while also grieving those killed in a senseless killing at a house of worship, a place of peace and safety in Michigan. Many in the political world still grieving the loss of well-known influencer Charlie Kirk. Here in Utah, many are still grieving the death of 2 police officers in Tremont from over the summer. With all that in mind, I want to spend a few minutes with you today talking about grief. This weekend, between sessions of General Conference for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, KSL News Radio will air a series of special programs. Our special is called Hope Amid Heartache. We want to give you a little preview of what you can hear in full this Saturday. I sat down with mental health professionals and faith leaders for their perspectives on grief. Alan Powley is a clinical mental health counselor with Revere Health. He spoke to me about the struggle to actually define what grief is.
It's kind of a unique phenomenon that really wears a lot of different masks, so to speak. It can come up in a lot of different situations and present itself in different ways. And typically when I'm screening it, I always love it when I have a patient in front of me and maybe a family member with them, where I can start asking questions. And really what I'm looking for are things that are just a little bit more outside the norm. Like maybe are they sleeping more often or less often? Are they a little bit more patient or less patient? Have they been eating more or less? Do they have more or less energy? And so it's anything that's kind of outside the norm of what is typical for that person, just because each person is so individualized, so unique in how they process challenges and even successes.
When we talk about grief, often people think we're talking about grief over death or something like that. But it's much larger than that. We can grieve a lot of different things, can't we?
Of course. In fact, I most often see grief as it relates to hitting, developmental milestones or changes in life. It could be, going from elementary school to junior high school, because you're grieving, that sense of innocence and being maybe the bigger fish in a little pond, or the freedom to do some things. And so most often, like I say, I see grief as we move through the different stages of life.
Grief commonly has 5 stages. This is how the grieving process works. Dr. Ben Christiansen is a clinical neuropsychologist with Ogden Clinic. He explained the stages of grief and talks a bit about how those stages aren't linear. We can go through each of the stages multiple times in our grieving process.
There's 5 stages. So the first stage is usually denial, where someone is like, no, it just didn't happen. I can't accept that reality. And then you see a stage of anger, where that pure raw emotion comes in, where it's such an impelling aspect on someone's experience that they don't even know how to handle that emotion that's behind it. Then people get into where they try to bargain. Well, what if I do this? What if I try that? Well, what if I give my soul up for my child? Will that change the outcome? Then we move into more of a form of depression where those feelings just kind of suppress and push down on us until we get to a level of acceptance. So those would be the 5 levels, is that kind of not being able to really accept it, that denial, to where then we go to more of a perception of, well, I'm just angry, to then I'm going to bargain, to then I get depressed, to then, well, I'm going to accept it. I think the hard thing that we struggle with is that everyone thinks it follows this equation, 1 = 2 = 3. It doesn't work that way with people. We're different. We feel sometimes them in different orders, at different lengths, at different times. Sometimes we feel the same step multiple times through our grieving process.
Ooh, that's tough for folks who are watching somebody grieve, handle, and really accept. What do you tell folks?
I think first what I share with people is that we have to appreciate that emotion isn't a bad thing. It's an experience. Life is an emotional journey, and it's okay to feel. It's okay to experience that. The key is, are we there to support? We don't have to understand. Oftentimes I think we go, we have to understand their grief. Well, I can empathize with your grief, but I doubt there's a way that we can honestly understand somebody's grief, because all of us have a different perspective of that. We have a different perspective of what we're feeling, why we would feel that. And what I often share with my patients is, it's okay. You're allowed to feel what you want. You are you. You're not supposed to be somebody else. So for loved ones that are trying to support, what I often share with them is, there is no timeline. There shouldn't be a timeline. We are allowed to grieve however that grief process looks. The key is that we have support and we're doing it in a safe manner.
Many people use their faith to help them process their grief. For that perspective, I spoke with my own faith leader, Father George Anikas. He's the Cathedral Dean of Holy Trinity Greek Orthodox Cathedral of Salt Lake City.
Grief, unfortunately, is a part of this world. However, as Orthodox Christians, we know that death is not the end, which is the most common source of grief. And so, therefore, having faith in Christ, we know that we, as we say in our creed, we look to the resurrection of the dead and the life of the ages to come. This is a temporal life that will have grief, that will have many different sorrows in it, along with happiness. But the life that we are entering after death is a life where there is no pain, there is no suffering, there is no sorrow, but is only a life of bliss, a life in which we are with our Heavenly Father and the countless saints that have gone on before us. And so for those who are Christian in general, and specifically Orthodox Christians, yes, grief is a part of our life, but it does not control us. And we have mechanisms through the church that we can help to alleviate the pain that naturally we would feel when we lose a loved one. It would be unnatural for us not to grieve.
This is just a small taste of what you can hear this Saturday at 5 p.m. during Hope Amid Heartache, Faith and Healing Through Life's Hardest Losses, right here on KSL News Radio. Midday continues in just 60 seconds.
The friend's place. He's pumped to watch football, but his setup, total mess. Lagging, buffering, and switching between apps trying to find the game. He claimed he was a big fan, but I felt like I was fan-fished. See, if you call yourself a football fan, you gotta have Xfinity. It's the ultimate sports destination. I can find the best games and my favorite teams all in one place. And the way I watch? Next level. It's the perfect fan flex. I have all the action right in my living room, plus Xfinity's best picture and sound with enhanced 4K. So clear, it feels like I'm in the stadium. Sometimes I've got 4 games going at once, because why not? On top of all that, I get real-time notifications and live stats right on my TV. It's the best seat in the house every time. Next game day, make sure that big fan isn't a big fail. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Multiview requires Xfinity 4K capable TV box.
The government shutdown countdown is on. If the federal government can't get a budget put together and passed by tomorrow night, the government will shut down at 12 a.m. on Wednesday, October 1st. What's at stake in all of this, and what are both sides trying to get out of a deal? ABC's Ali Pecorin spoke to Devin Dwyer on the Start Here podcast to describe what's involved in these talks.
There are a couple of considerations here. So what Republicans would like to do is fund the government for 7 more weeks at the current government funding levels. It's called a clean stopgap funding bill or a clean continuing resolution. We call them CRs on Capitol Hill.
On this vote, the yeas are 217, the nays are 212.
They have passed that bill in the House of Representatives using only Republican votes and kicked it over to the Senate.
And this is a very short 7-week holdover of government funding. We are going to allow more time for the appropriations process to continue.
But a week ago, Senate Democrats blocked that bill from advancing.
The House adjourned till October 1st. If there were ever a sign that the Republicans wanted a shutdown, that's it.
Government funding requires 60 votes in the Senate to pass. There's only 53 Senate Republicans. So 7 Democrats are going to have to get on board with advancing whatever solution they come up with. And Democrats, at least for the time being, are very much holding the line. They're saying that they will not support this clean solution. They need to see some healthcare wins out of this if they're going to keep the government open.
So what would those healthcare wins look like? Pecorin says it comes down to subsidies linked to the Affordable Care Act.
So there's 2 main things that Democrats say they're hoping to achieve when it comes to health care. The first, and probably the bigger one, and the one that's more specifically being focused on, is this extension or continuation of these enhanced Affordable Care Act premium subsidies. So those subsidies are set to expire at the end of the calendar year, which means that some families who purchase health care through the Affordable Care Act or Obamacare are going to see a hike in how much they pay in premiums unless Congress acts.
They've been after the Affordable Care Act since 2010. They are obsessed.
House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries was on ABC's This Week, and he said,
It's going to be a shock to the system of everyday Americans who are already struggling to get by.
The other thing the Democrats say they want to do is focus on many of the rollbacks to Medicaid that were enacted by Republicans in the One Big Beautiful Bill. Democrats say that many of these cuts to Medicaid were dangerous to American families, and they want to see some of those cuts restored in this bill.
Our position has been very clear. Cancel the cuts, lower the costs, save health care.
All told, everything the Democrats want could cost up to $1.4 trillion, according to the Congressional Budget Office. It's a lot of money. And so it's kind of unlikely that Democrats are going to succeed at getting all of that stuff. They likely know that, but Democrats have been clear that they're willing to negotiate and meet with Republicans on this. And so the things that Democrats are outlining are kind of a good jumping off point, though not necessarily a red line for the party.
Right now, there's a lot of finger pointing from both sides of the aisle, each claiming that the other party will be responsible for a shutdown. But how will the American people see it?
Yeah, so government shutdowns are never popular, right? The country never really responds positively when the government is shut down because we send our elected officials to Washington to do a lot of things, but their basic responsibility is to keep things running, right?
Yeah, do your own job, right?
Exactly.
That's what we sent you to do.
Exactly. Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the White House. So they're certainly running a risk for not keeping the lights on in Washington politically. But Republicans are also pointing the finger at Democrats here, and they're saying that this is a shutdown that Democrats are going to own.
The ball is in their court.
Senate Majority Leader John Thune spoke to NBC.
What the Democrats have done here is take the federal government as a hostage, and for that matter, by extension, the American people, to try and get a whole laundry list of things that they want that special interest groups on the far left are pushing them to accomplish.
For Democrats, they say that these health care provisions they're advocating for are so important to people that they want them to put up a fight for it. And there's certainly an argument to be made for that, because when Democrats supported keeping the government open in March, there was a small handful that cast votes to keep the government open. A lot of those Democrats got very extreme kickback from their party for not doing more to advocate for policy wins when they had the chance to do so.
Last week, we heard about a proposal to permanently get rid of employees affected by the shutdown. Instead of a good old-fashioned furlough, there are plans in the works to fire those people entirely.
Agency heads always have to present to OMB a plan for what they're going to do if there's a government shutdown. how we're going to furlough people, how we're going to cut back on spending, all of that. That's typical, and we always see that. But what the OMB director, Russ Vought, asked of these agencies in this letter last week was to go further and say, if you're going to furlough these people, maybe you should consider firing them entirely. Not just bringing them back when this is over, but go ahead and fire them. What Democrats are saying is that this is kind of an empty threat.
They're doing it anyway. There's no shutdown.
Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer told NBC the government is already laying off workers without a government shutdown.
They're trying to intimidate the American people and us.
It will have a very jarring effect for many federal employees who do receive that notice on the day if Russ Vought goes through with this. We don't know if he's going to, but even if those people are laid off and they challenge it in courts, it could still be months before there's a resolution on this. And so the political fallout will be felt regardless of the legal ramification.
And the magic question, we'll all have to wait and see. If the government does shut down, how long will it last and what will it take to bring both sides together to end it? ABC's Ali Pecorin there on the Start Here podcast. Utah's Medicaid watchdog under fire following a new legislative audit. The critics about Medicaid oversight and transparency coming up next. But first, as KSL Traffic is brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Ricky?
We do have a stalled vehicle southbound SR 36 Main Street at Mills Junction. If you're trying to get from Lake Point into Tooele, expect a couple of right lanes blocked with that vehicle. And an accident, a small one, southbound I-15, 2100 south, that's been moved out of traffic. However, the big delays continue westbound I-80. Again, we're not expecting this to be cleared until about 3 o'clock this afternoon. We have lane restrictions and an accident. The accident really not a factor, but those lane restrictions taking traffic down to only one left lane approaching the mouth of Parley's, backing traffic all the way to Mountaindale. Common Spirit Hospitals, clinics, and caregivers, all connected to advanced health care in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Healthcare with human kindness is here. Hello, human kindness. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. Stroke risk may increase. Eliquis can cause serious and potentially fatal bleeding. Don't take if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or bleed longer. A spinal injection increases blood clot risk, which may cause paralysis. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding or bruising, or back pain, tingling, numbness, muscle weakness, or incontinence. Aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa this weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa this weekend only, Friday through Sunday, Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates, this weekend only. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Friday, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Free admission, free parking, free delivery. Mountain America Expo Center, Sandy. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
This is Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. We are streaming on the KSL News Radio app, sponsored by At Your Service Pros. A new legislative audit is critical of the group overseeing the state's Medicaid system. The audit is critical of Utah's Medicaid watchdog for poor governance and a lack of transparency. I spoke with Legislative Auditor General Cade Menchie about the findings.
Yeah, so the Office of Inspector General was created in 2011. Actually from a recommendation from our office we were looking at increasing the fraud, waste, and abuse oversight of Medicaid dollars. It's very important to do so, and also the auditing oversight that occurs there. And the legislature implemented that and put that into statute in 2011. Unfortunately, what we have seen since then, we did an audit in 2018 and then an audit in 2025. This organization has not been as effective as we would have liked them to have been. Their audits have been a bit lackluster, and their ability of recovering this fraud, waste, and abuse has also been lackluster. So we're really hoping for some improvement there.
Right. So how much fraud and abuse has been taking place as a result of this?
It's kind of hard to say. It's a really good question. It's roughly estimated nationwide that it's anywhere from as low as maybe 1% up to, in some cases, could be up to multiple percentages higher than that. But we have a $5 billion budget. Even if it's 1-2%, we're talking about a substantial amount of money. And also, one of the things that they can do well is putting procedures in place to try to, what we call a cost avoidance, preventing it from ever happening in the first place. They've had some efforts there, and there's been a few things there that we've really been happy about, but there's a lot more work that can be done there as well.
Who is most impacted by this kind of abuse, this money being used in places where it shouldn't be?
Yeah, we thought a lot about that. I like that question. And I think it's really two groups. The first one, of course, the taxpayer. If the fraud, waste, abuse is occurring, it's costing more of the taxpayer to fund the program. But then ultimately, the recipients of the program as well are being affected by this. If they're not getting the best services out there, then that impacts their health care.
So what are the recommendations to fix the problem?
We have several recommendations to the Office of Inspector General for them to conduct more informed audits, for them to look at risk areas that we think they have not looked at. But I'd say the primary recommendation I'd like to talk about is a recommendation to the legislature looking at the structure of the organization. We think that because of the prolonged ineffectiveness of this group, there needs to be a structure improvement there. We get several options in the report. One could be a governing board over the top of them that kind of gives more oversight. One could be putting the functions of this office into other state agencies that have shown more effectiveness. And so the legislature seemed very interested in that recommendation. I think there will be more to come on that during the legislative session.
I have to ask, were you surprised by your findings?
We were. When we did the 2018 audit, we had saw several concerns there, and we laid out a roadmap for them to improve. And so coming back in 2025 and not seeing improvement, it was surprising. It was also disappointing.
Cade Menchie is Utah's Legislative Auditor General. It's what you might call a hero's reunion. Two groups of families and friends, strangers to each other, but now connected forever. Among them, a celebration of life itself. KSL5 TV's Emma Benson has the story.
Truly a touching moment. These families able to meet for the very first time, and two young girls able to have a second chance at life. When Justin and Jasmine Tibbs found out their 7-month-old daughter Ellie, who had a rare liver disorder, needed a transplant, Justin immediately volunteered. But the portion of his liver that they needed was too big for Ellie's body. At the same time, 15-year-old Marissa was being treated for another rare liver disease and also needed a transplant.
Not a soul in our family matched.
Marissa's neighbor Annie stepped up to donate.
Immediately it came to me like, I need to do this.
But her liver was too small. So doctors came up with a paired exchange.
Essentially, all we're doing is swapping or exchanging organs.
Justin would donate to Marissa and Annie would donate to Ellie. The surgeries took place in July.
He didn't only get to contribute in saving our daughter, he got to help save another pretty beautiful girl as well.
And today, the families met for the very first time.
I appreciate you so much.
It was really cool. Yeah, we heard a lot about them, so it's really nice meeting them.
Both girls are doing well. Marissa is getting back to soccer, and little Ellie is adored by all.
Kind of crazy when I look at her. Part of me is in her, so that's really awesome.
Healthy and happy, thanks to their doctors and donors.
I'm grateful for liver givers, and I'm thankful for just our new family.
These families now forever connected. They said they plan to stay in touch, maybe even celebrate their liverversaries together. In Salt Lake City, Emma Benson, KSL 5 News.
A study published in the journal Clinical Liver Disease said size is a particular issue for children younger than 1 year old.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Many members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in mourning today. President of the church, Russell M. Nelson, passing away at 101. Hours later, a deadly shooting and a fire at a ward house in Michigan.
This was an evil act of violence. That's exactly what this was. And this is not Grand Blanc. This does not define Grand Blanc and who we are.
The time is 2 o'clock on Monday, September 29th. It's midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Coming up, we have special coverage on that shooting in Michigan and the investigation into it. Also this hour,
we rejoice in the peace that radiates from the Lord Jesus Christ. It will continue to fill us with hope and joy.
known as a healer in both the physical and spiritual sense, President Russell M. Nelson leaves behind a storied legacy. More on his ministry in just a few minutes. But first, our top stories. The man accused of killing political activist Charlie Kirk did not appear today at his own court hearing. Tyler Robinson was neither in the courtroom nor on video. The judge told Robinson's attorneys he needs to be in person for any future hearings. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Trump says a deal for peace in Gaza is closer than close. That after a meeting today with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
If accepted by Hamas, this proposal calls for the release of all remaining hostages immediately, but in no case more than 72 hours. So the hostages are coming back.
It also requires Hamas to gradually disarm and for the Israeli Defense Forces to gradually withdraw from Gaza. President Trump is activating Title X again, this time to federalize National Guard troops in Portland, Oregon.
In a statement, the Oregon National Guard says, quote, "Please remember this is still us, your neighbors and friends. Our job is to protect Oregonians and defend national interests when directed as we are now," end quote. Oregon is asking a court to stop the president's federalization of the state's National Guard. Oregon's Attorney General saying,
"This is a long line in a pattern of behavior to expand the executive authority."
Comes after President Trump said on social media he was authorizing full force, if necessary, to combat protests he says are interfering with federal enforcement in Portland. Alex Stone, ABC News.
At least 100 federal investigators are now responding to an attack on a Michigan stake center for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. A total of 5 people died, including the gunman, with another 8 people hurt. Police say officers were on the scene within 30 seconds of the 911 call. Today, Latter-day Saints are remembering President Russell M. Nelson, particularly as they reflect on his call for church members to be peacemakers.
If there is anything virtuous, lovely, or of good report or praiseworthy that we can say about another person, whether to his face or behind her back, that should be our standard of communication.
President Nelson was the oldest president in the history of the church. He passed away over the weekend at the age of 101. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow ending the day up by 68 points, sitting at 46,316. S&P up by 17 points, and the NASDAQ up by 107 points, nearly 0.5%. Traffic and weather, it's brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Here's Ricky Meese.
We do have right lanes blocked with a stalled vehicle in Tooele County. This is southbound SR 36 at Mills Junction. Near Pole Canyon Road, you'll see right lanes blocked, but traffic is able to get around it. And then delays remain solid going westbound to I-80. And that starts right around SR 65 East Canyon in the Mountaindale area of Parley's Canyon, all the way down to the valley floor at the mouth of the canyon, where we still have lanes restricted, only a left lane open that's not expected to clear until 3 o'clock. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Headed for a high of 81 today, 10% chance of showers, 60% chance of showers tomorrow, and only getting up to about 76 and staying in the 70s on Wednesday. 75 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
The sources of where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
September means it's time for Any Hour Services free furnace sale. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and as summer comes to a close and falls right around the corner, the weather gets, well, perfect. And when the weather's perfect, people need a little extra incentive to replace their heating and cooling system. That's where Any Hour Services free furnace sale comes in. For the month of September, when you have Any Hour Services install a new air conditioner, we'll give you a new furnace for just the cost to install it. About $400. The furnace is free, you just pay the labor. And there's no catch. There's no raising the price on the air conditioner first. There's no making you buy the most expensive air conditioner to qualify. There's none of that. There's just a desire to keep our technicians working while the weather's mild and a genuine appreciation of you for helping us keep them busy. So if you've been thinking about replacing your old furnace and air conditioner and want to know exactly how much you can save during our free furnace sale, call Any Hour Services today and schedule a free estimate. Google Any Hour Services or schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Thanks for tuning into Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. The Latter-day Saint community in mourning today following a deadly shooting and a fire at a meeting house in Michigan. The same community also mourning the death of President Russell M. Nelson, president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. We'll have more on President Nelson in just a few minutes, but we begin this hour of Midday with special coverage of the shooting and fire in Michigan.
The Michigan church shooting. Special coverage on KSL News Radio.
President Dallin H. Oaks, president of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, just now posting on X his thoughts on the deadly incident in Michigan. He wrote, "The awful tragedy that took place in Grand Blanc, Michigan on September 28th reminds us of our sacred responsibilities as followers of Jesus Christ. We mourn with our members who have lost loved ones, and we join in prayer for comfort with others around the world who are suffering from similar tragedies." He continued saying he's grateful for all who are reaching out with service, prayers, and words of support. Joining me now to go more in-depth on the tragic incident in Michigan is Sasha Pesnick, ABC News investigative reporter. Sasha, thanks for joining me.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Give us an update on what we learned today from the police press conference.
So what we know at this point is that authorities are urgently trying to figure out what could have possibly motivated this man to allegedly open fire on this church in the middle of their service on Sunday. You know, I think one of the interesting things you just noted from that latest statement from the senior leader and counselor to President Nelson was that he noted that we all seek answers and understanding in the wake of trauma and shock and grief, and that's something that really we're all endeavoring to have now, to have answers in this. And the big open question is what could have motivated the suspect to do this. We know that investigators are going to be poring over his social media. They've been searching his house, talking to everyone they possibly can who knew him to try to understand who he was, what his background was, what kind of emotional triggers may have moved him to do this, and what kind of beliefs he held. At this point, it's still an open question. We're just trying to piece together the puzzle pieces here.
We also know that investigators are still sifting through the ashes of that church building. Now, they've found everyone. They've been accounted for, right?
Yes, that's right. Everyone has so far been accounted for. We know at least 8 were injured, 4 victims killed. And you're exactly right. Even as they're sifting through the rubble, they're looking for answers. But they have recovered everyone from the scene at this point.
Okay, what do we know about the suspect in this killing?
So what we know so far is that he's 40 years old. His name is Thomas Jacob Sanford. He allegedly rammed his pickup truck into the chapel on Sunday and opened fire with an assault rifle at the hundreds of congregants that were packed inside for Sunday services. and it was right in the middle of the Sunday service at around 10:25 a.m. local time. And responding officers rushed to the scene. We know that he allegedly had suspected explosive devices that were located in the investigation, although it's unclear at this point whether that was what was used to initiate the fire at the church. At this point, we know that he's a family man. He lives only a few miles away from the church. We know he had a family, a young child who had grappled with serious health concerns, something that you can imagine must have caused emotional and financial strain for the family. In fact, that's something that in social media and local reporting from as much as 10 years ago, that was something that family members made reference to, that he had taken time off from his job to attend to those health concerns. We know he graduated from a local high school in Genesee County in 2004, went right into the military. He was a veteran of the Iraq War and a Marine. He served for 4 years and even rose to the rank of sergeant. He was deployed for a combat tour for Operation Iraqi Freedom in 2007, which, as you well know, was a particularly violent and volatile time during the war. And one interesting detail from his military record of service was that he specialized in handling military vehicle equipment. And we know that the truck that was rammed into the church on Sunday had Iraq War veteran license plates, according to officials. And yet with all of those pieces coming together, we're still trying to figure out, was this a hate crime? Did he bear some sort of animus towards this particular church or the religion in general, or someone inside the church, or was it something completely separate from that? That's something that now investigators are going to be looking at. One interesting thing about this, we've heard officials say that this is being investigated as an act of targeted violence, but crucially, we haven't heard it yet be called an investigation into, say, an act of domestic terror or a hate crime. And that's quite possibly because even behind the scenes, the suspect's motive is still unclear.
All right, Sasha, thank you so much for the update. That is Sasha Pesnick, ABC News investigative reporter. Stay with us. We'll be back with more on Midday in just 60 seconds.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
What makes you so different than the rest of us?
We ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Tell me more.
Our investment counselors focus on service over sales, prioritizing clients' needs.
How do you make money?
We don't sell any commission-based products. We have a simple management fee based on the value of our client's portfolio. So we do better when our clients do better.
What about client portfolios?
We get to know each client, their finances, family, health, lifestyle, and more, and then we tailor a portfolio based on their specific goals and needs.
Your clients really come first then, huh?
Yes, we make them a top priority. Our goal is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement.
Wow, maybe we are different.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at FisherInvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
Remembering President Russell M. Nelson. Special coverage on KSL News Radio.
We continue to cover the death of President Russell M. Nelson, the 17th president of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. He passed away late Saturday night at the age of 101. He became an apostle in 1984, later becoming president of the church on January 14, 2018. A pioneering heart surgeon, a father of 10 children, President Nelson is being remembered for his concern for the well-being for the spiritual and physical health of people worldwide. When the COVID pandemic broke out in 2020, many thought it was divinely inspired that the leader of the church be a surgeon, someone who had so much experience dealing with science and medicine. In May of 2020, just a few months into the pandemic, President Nelson posted a video sharing a message for Latter-day Saints and others, both here in the U.S. and around the world.
My dear friends and associates, during these months of the COVID-19 pandemic, as the world has grappled with unprecedented challenges, I have marveled at the countless examples of faith, courage, and Christ-like love that I have seen. Thank you for serving and loving one another as the Savior would have us do. We are grateful for the helpful direction that government, health, and civic leaders have provided to keep us safe. and we will continue to be prayerful and proceed with an abundance of caution. Your safety and well-being will always be our utmost concern. As we cautiously move forward to a more normal way of life, church leaders will continue to monitor information and determine how soon we may again gather in our meeting houses and temples in various locations. We know that ordinances of the Holy Temple need to be performed. They are of eternal significance. We will clearly communicate step by step when and where such gatherings and other church-sponsored activities may be resumed. Readjustments in missionary service are currently underway. Meanwhile, we rejoice in the peace that radiates from the Lord Jesus Christ. It will continue to fill us with hope and joy. Our Heavenly Father and His beloved Son love us, are aware of us, and will bless each of us. I love you, dear brothers and sisters, and assure you that wonderful days are ahead. Our commitment to follow the Lord is everlasting.
Before his call to be an apostle, President Nelson was a world-class open-heart surgeon. His desire to pioneer health drove him to work as a surgeon at LDS Hospital and serve as a faculty member in surgery and director of the thoracic surgery residency program at the University of Utah School of Medicine for almost 2 decades. With President Nelson's death, what is next? I spoke with Church News editor Ryan Jensen about potential funeral plans and the process to select a new leader of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
So at this point, I don't believe the church has announced any funeral services, and so we're waiting on that information. This weekend, of course, is the General Conference of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and so leaders from around the world will be here. Members of the church and friends will also be here to hear messages from the general leadership of the church. And I don't want to speculate on what may be coming, but to have all of those leaders and members here, they have a focus. I don't think there would be any circumstance in which the conference would change, so those things will stay. And so it would either be immediately before or immediately after. Most of his family is here in the area already, and so not a lot of travel arrangements there, but there may be others who that's a consideration for.
And not to be insensitive, but what would be the process moving forward to find the next leader?
So when the president of the church passes away, the first presidency of the church, so his counselors, that presidency is dissolved and they go back to the quorum of the 12 apostles. So while it's a standing quorum of 12 apostles, at the moment there are 14 of them. President Dallin H. Oaks, who was his first counselor in the first presidency, has seniority in that quorum. So he's the president of the quorum of the 12 apostles right now. And they will have their process that they go through. Typically, in the history of the church, they have allowed time for mourning of the president of the church. There's no specific amount of time, but they will typically allow for the funeral to take place and not make any announcements of what's going to come for the next president and selection of his counselors or a new apostle until after a funeral has taken place for the president.
Anything else that we should say?
President Nelson, again, he'll be remembered for a lot of things, but I hope that people will take time to write down what it is that stands out to them, because what stands out to me might not be what stands out to someone else. And he was if you look back to his tenure, he even turned over his journals from his time when he was a doctor. He was a heart surgeon. He turned over all of those journals to the University of Utah so that they could have them and so that other medical students could learn from them. He was one who loved to write down the things that were happening in his life, the things that stood out to him. And I think that people right now can do the same thing, because whatever you write down as having stood out to you is going to matter to someone else who goes through one of these transitions in their own life. What are you doing right now to say, I know he was a prophet? What did you learn from him? And that may set somebody else to learn from a prophet in the future and to feel the Spirit working in their lives, to have the happiness and the joy that he preached during his 101 years.
Ryan Jensen is the editor of Church News. A massive military meeting set to begin tomorrow. U.S. military leaders from all around the world now on the way to Virginia. We'll get some insights from a military expert after the break. But first, it's KSL Traffic. It's brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Ricky?
Well, heavy delays continue westbound I-80 from Mountaindale all the way to the mouth of Parley's, where we've had lane restrictions. Only a left lane open at that spot at the mouth of Parley's. And then a little bit of heavy and slow traffic northbound on I-15 approaching 2300 North Warm Springs Road. There's a place everyone wants to be. Lighten your heart, clear your mind in a colorful canvas. Vibrant red rocks, amber leaves, blue skies, and emerald green forest trails. For the best recreating, that's Cedar City. Ricky Meeson, the KSL Traffic Center.
Cooler weather. What a relief, unless you have old drafty windows. Soon the heat will escape through the cracks and your energy bill's going to go through the roof. So now's the time to call Advanced Window Products and get brand new state-of-the-art custom windows and frames at factory direct pricing. The factory is right here in Salt Lake City, where they've been building precision windows since 1986, and you're going to save a lot of money since there's no middleman markup. You save 30, even 40% on your new windows. Even better, call now and they'll give you an extra $2,500 off on 10 windows or more. Double pane argon-filled windows with a low-energy triple coating, any style, any color, and Advanced Windows gives you a lifetime warranty. If you have an issue, they're not 10 states away. They're right here in town, and they offer 0% 60-month financing. So make the call now. Get $2,500 off. 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
1-877 Cards for Kids. KARS Cards for Kids. 1-877 Cards for Kids. Donate your card today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate your car today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car, running or not, can be picked up as soon as the next day. You'll get a maximum tax deduction and a vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Let's go!
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. Ever wonder why Big Wireless wants you on an unlimited plan? They probably want you to cover the cost of those 20-somethings using all that data every month. But most people 50 and up like me only use 12 gigs or less. Don't get bamboozled by Big Wireless. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Our plans start at just $20, and we use the same towers as the big guys. Join the millions who choose something better, because if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
This March, Wendy's is fueling the madness with amazing deals on their hamburgers made with fresh, never frozen beef.
Like a juicy Dave's single for $1 and a fresh $2 Dave's double with in-app offer.
It's such a good deal, we wrote a little ditty about it.
Get it for $1. Dave's single, order in the app. Dave's single, get it for $1. Choose wisely, choose Wendy's, official hamburger March Madness.
Limited time offer. Participating U.S. Wendy's. See offer details and redeem at Wendy's app. Account registration required. Fresh beef available in the contiguous U.S. and Alaska.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-583-6681. That's 800-583-6681.
You are listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. We are streaming on the KSL News Radio app, sponsored by At Your Service Pros. A massive military meeting set to take place tomorrow, with President Trump set to address the nation's top military leaders at the Marine Corps base in Quantico, Virginia. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has summoned hundreds of generals, admirals, and their senior enlisted leaders ranked 1 star and above to attend the meeting. There's been a lot of hush-hush about the meeting, prompting a myriad of questions. Joining me to talk about what we know about the event, retired Lieutenant General Richard Newton, who is also the senior national security contributor to News Nation.
Well, Maria, it's highly unusual and frankly unprecedented. In my 34 years on active duty as a senior general officer, frankly, I've never seen this before. I understand the intent from Secretary Hegseth is to bring together all the active duty Guard and Reserve general officers who are serving outside of Washington, D.C., to include their senior enlisted advisors as well, and really to have about a 1-hour meeting with them, a briefing from his standpoint, to talk about implementing the administration's new effort to increase or enhance warrior ethos throughout the ranks. I'm sure there'll be other topics that will come up, but basically he really wants to underscore that and compel the senior leaders from the top down to push for stronger warrior ethos throughout the military.
Do we need a stronger warrior ethos? I mean, isn't that why you go into the military? I'm a little confused about that.
Yeah, I agree. It's the intent of your question. I'll give you an example. The United States military on June 22nd went and destroyed the Iranian nuclear weapons facilities, all 3 of those with a significant airstrike, not only from Air Force B-2 bombers, but other aircraft, but also the Iranian nuclear sites were attacked by U.S. Navy submarine-launched Tomahawk cruise missiles. I mean, that's a significant military operation, but also underscores the extraordinary, frankly, warrior ethos in and of itself. Also, we've been a nation at war since 2001. This current crop of U.S. general officers and flag officers I'm referring to as admirals, have been in the United States military really, post 9/11. And they've been serving under Operation Iraqi Freedom, Operation Enduring Freedom, Global War on Terror, along with certainly current conflicts. And so they are steeped in warrior ethos, in my view.
Do you feel like this maybe sends the wrong message, that our military is soft?
Well, I think, first off, Secretary Hegseth, I mean, it's his prerogative to to call such a meeting. I just wouldn't advise it because I think it's unnecessary in my view. And by the way, our first son was back-to-back combat tours, Army Infantry, Operation Iraqi Freedom, and then went to Afghanistan. Our current son-in-law is an Air Force Special Operations major, Air Force Special Operations pilot, 7 combat deployments, and so forth. So we are a highly skilled, highly trained, very effective military force. And this is what we do. I would advise the Secretary of Defense to focus less on perhaps, feeling compelled to what I would call a pep talk, if you will, regarding warrior ethos, and make sure, and he's trying to do this, but make sure that our military is organized, trained, equipped to continue to fight and win our nation's wars.
Isn't there a concern about having all of your top military officials in one place at one time? I mean, isn't there like a huge security concern here?
It's unique. Let me put it that way. I'm sure they're going to take the efforts to ensure that the men and women, our senior general officers and flag officers, are safe and secure. Certainly, they'll be meeting at Marine University at Quantico. It's outside of Washington D.C. at a Marine installation, so they'll be safe and secure. I don't have any issues with that at all. But more fundamentally, though, again, this has been a leadership of the United States military for years who have been high operations tempo regarding deployments, combat deployments. We are in over 100 locations around the world. Our U.S. military is deployed. And so this is, they understand, how to maintain and protect, our senior officers as well as all our men and women in uniform. So that's not going to be an issue. But the whole idea here, I think, is again, I think they would probably have better things to do on Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm wondering if there is a benefit, looking at it from the other side of the coin, a benefit to have all of these people in one room just to get to know each other and talk about what's happening in their world.
That's a good point also. Rather than try to just, push totally back to Secretary Hegseth, there is a value, I suppose, to not only having all our senior officers in one room, but also, to hear directly from the Secretary of Defense. I understand now that President Trump will also address the group. And so there could be a benefit from that aspect. As again, rather than assuming that they need to have a warrior ethos pep talk, as I call it, rather than just let them know that, hey, I've got your back. I'm trying to do everything I possibly can to make sure you've got the right tools and the equipment and the exercises and the training to make sure that we are ready to fight and win our nation's war. What is it that we here in Washington, D.C., as your national leaders can do to make sure that you are positioned to really more effectively do your jobs?
All right. Any final thoughts for us?
The only thought I have is I would like our listeners to make sure they underscore, or I underscore, that they know that this is, in my view, highly capable military force. We've got 2.1 million men and women in uniform. As I mentioned, active duty, guard, and reserve. They've got phenomenal equipment. They've got exquisite training. They also have, in my view, world-class leadership, specifically these senior general officers and flag officers and their senior enlisted leaders who are coming to outside of Washington, D.C. I would just want to make sure that they know that the best and brightest are not only in the ranks, but also leading the ranks as well.
Retired Lieutenant General Richard Newton is also the senior national security contributor to News Nation. It's 2:30, midday at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Shilaos. Some of the stories we are watching this hour. The man accused of shooting and killing Charlie Kirk back in court today. We'll get the latest in a live report from KSL News Radio's Heather Peterson. President Trump now asking the U.S. Supreme Court to step in and make a decision on the constitutionality of birthright citizenship. And KSL traffic, Ricky.
Heavy delays remain westbound I-80 in the lower half of Parley's Canyon. Maria?
KSL's top local story this hour. We're getting new details out of Michigan after police say a man shot people at a Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints meeting house and then set the building on fire. KSL News Radio's Adam Small has the latest.
Police still aren't saying much about what they think the motive was for what they're calling this targeted act of violence, but they are now telling us the alleged gunman, who's now dead, 40-year-old Thomas Sanford, has been arrested on suspicion of burglary and driving while intoxicated in the past. We're also learning from the chief of staff at a local hospital they treated 8 victims from the church, 5 of which were shot, including 1 child who they say is now stable.
5 people, including the shooter, have died. Utah Governor Spencer Cox was on 60 Minutes this weekend saying that he's been studying political violence and condemns it.
I get accused on the right all the time of, I just want people to have a kumbaya moment. I want people to hold hands and just hug it out. And we're done with that. We're done holding hands and hugging it out. I'm not asking anybody to hold hands and hug it out. I'm not asking for that. I'm trying to get people to stop shooting each other. That's it. And I think what I'm doing and what I'm saying is the best way to do that. Some people will disagree with that, and that's okay. We should have these debates as a society. I'm not always right. I've made mistakes. Other politicians, I think, are making mistakes right now in trying to elevate the temperature, but I'm going to just keep having these conversations.
Cox says it's not an exaggeration to say the future of the country is at stake. President Russell M. Nelson of the Church of Jesus Christ Latter-day Saints is being remembered today for his musical talents. He spoke often about the power of music, especially spiritual music. In 2009, President Nelson spoke at BYU Fireside Chat about the power and protection of worthy music.
The power of worthy music was felt tonight as we sang these words in our opening hymn. Come, ye children of the Lord, let us sing with one accord. Let us raise a joyful strain to our Lord, who soon shall reign.
Today, President Dallin H. Oaks, who is the first counselor in the first presidency of the church, posted a tribute to President Nelson, calling him a dear friend and a cherished leader. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow ending the day up by 68 points, sitting at 46,316. S&P up by 17 points, and the Nasdaq up by 107 points. Traffic and weather, it's brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Ricky?
Well, delays remain westbound I-80 in the bottom half of Parley's Canyon from Mountaindale all the way down to Foothill and the I-215 East Belt Junction. It's where we've had lane restrictions and an accident. They're hoping to have that opened up and cleaned up by 3 p.m. We'll see if that happens. And then we still have traffic blocked by a disabled vehicle in Tooele County. This is going to be SR 36 going southbound there at Main Street at Mills Junction by Pole Canyon Road. Right lanes are blocked, but you can still get around the area. Here in the valley, a small accident westbound I-80 at I-215's belt route moved to the shoulder, and a crash in Utah County northbound I-15 at Pleasant Grove Boulevard also moved to the right. Wasatch Front businesses and property managers. GoPave Utah provides all asphalt repairs for your parking. For patching and paving along the Wasatch Front, contact GoPave Utah. GoPave Utah, GoPaveUtah.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Slight chance of showers today, increasing to a 60% chance by tomorrow. Today's high 81, 76 tomorrow, 79 at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Let's go!
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Offer not valid in all states or where prohibited by law. Loans are subject to lender approval. See website for details.
Honey, the credit card bill came, and we're maxed out.
Maxed out cards, rent is due. We just need some extra cash to help us get by.
Maybe we should go to 27cash.com.
With our bad credit?
27cash.com is one of the largest personal loan networks. They can help people with any type of credit get up to $5,000, and cash can hit our bank account as soon as tomorrow.
When you need extra cash, go to 27cash.com. That's 27cash.com. 27cash.com.
Ticket packages for the Utah Mammoth 2025-26 season are available now. From full season and half season packages to mini plans and other flexible options, choose the ticket package that fits you best and be part of the action all season long. Call or text 801-325-PUCK to talk with a rep or visit nhl.com/Utah/tickets/season tickets to learn more.
You are listening to Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. For the first time, we are hearing from Tyler Robinson's defense team. They spoke today during a hearing in Utah County. You'll recall that Robinson is the man accused of killing Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University last month. KSL News Radio's Heather Peterson listened in on today's court hearing, joins me now live in studio to talk about it. So, Heather, what were some of the big takeaways from today's hearing?
Well, Maria, one of the more poignant moments was when Judge Tony Graff opened his statements to the court by vowing to treat this case with respect, and he charged both sides to do the same.
As we are at the beginning of this case, it is my intent to only speak when I'm needed or it is necessary. But today I do wish to provide guidance and expectations that you can have for this court and wish to enter an order as well. As this case moves forward, Mr. Robinson's constitutional rights will be protected at every stage. He sits before this court presumed innocent, and that presumption remains unless and until each element of every offense charged against him is proved beyond a reasonable doubt. At the same time, and as applicable, victims are entitled under our Constitution to be treated with fairness, respect, and dignity, free from harassment or abuse. Justice demands that both of these principles, the rights of the accused and the rights of victims, be honored without compromise. I remain steadfast in my oath that I made 56 days ago to support and defend the constitutions of the United States and of Utah. I will carry out my duties with fidelity, transparency, and impartiality, treating every person who appears before me with the dignity and respect they are inherently due because they are human beings. Let me be clear. I will not put my finger on the scale of justice.
So, Heather, how were these comments received?
The prosecution team actually said they really appreciated his comments to both the fairness and the truth of this case. They wanted his commitment for that. We didn't hear from Robinson, though, today at all. He was supposed to appear virtually from jail, but his legal team asked that he not be shown on camera. They gave no explanation as to why that is. So Robinson only acknowledged that he could hear them at the beginning of the hearing, and we didn't hear anything else after. Judge Graff says that won't be the case moving forward, though.
These proceedings will be open to the public, conducted in accordance with the law, and handled with diligence and competence to ensure that justice is never compromised. It is the standing order of this court that Mr. Robinson shall be allowed to appear in person so he can fully engage with his attorneys and participate in these legal proceedings. Counsel, regardless of who is watching, whether it is the nation or a single individual, we must fulfill our roles with integrity, civility, and diligence. I encourage each of you to give your very best to this case. Neither Mr. Robinson nor the people of Utah deserve anything less than the fair and impartial administration of justice.
There were also some logistics to work out through the court hearing. The prosecution has 5 days to respond to the defense's request for all the evidence and discovery, and prosecutor Chad Gruander says it's a lot.
For the court's information, we met this morning with the defense team briefly in our office to talk about discovery and the process, so we'll be working together. There is a substantial amount of discovery in this case, Your Honor. It's voluminous, to say the least, and we're working on a process where we can exchange information as quickly as possible and be efficient in that process.
The defense says they're going to need some time to work through all the evidence on hand. Kathy Nestor and 2 others have been introduced as Robinson's counsel on this case. It took some time for the county to find lawyers to represent him in the first place because not many attorneys are qualified to handle possible death penalty cases, and there was no one in the public defender's office. The judge granted their request for time to sort through it all. He set the next court date for October 30th.
Heather, thanks for the update. That is KSL News Radio's Heather Peterson joining me live in the studio. Governor Spencer Cox has been thrusted into the national news in the week since the murder of political influencer Charlie Kirk. He's come under fire for calls to tone down the political rhetoric. He joined CBS's 60 Minutes program yesterday to share more on how he thinks we should move forward as a country.
I get accused on the right all the time of, I just want people to have a kumbaya moment. I want people to hold hands and just hug it out. And we're done with that. We're done holding hands and hugging it out. I'm not asking anybody to hold hands and hug it out. I'm not asking for that. I'm trying to get people to stop shooting each other. That's it. And I think what I'm doing and what I'm saying is the best way to do that. Some people will disagree with that, and that's okay. We should have these debates as a society. I'm not always right. I've made mistakes. Other politicians, I think, are making mistakes right now in trying to elevate the temperature, but I'm going to just keep having these conversations.
In this moment, what's at stake?
Scott, I don't think it's hyperbole to say that the future of our country is at stake. This grand experiment that we embarked on 250 years ago, can we hold together?
And what if our politics cannot find the path to the brighter light?
That's the question I always ask. When I hear people say that we're at war, I say, okay, and what? What does that mean? What is next? Who am I supposed to shoot now?
The governor telling CBS 60 Minutes host Scott Pelley what he believes to be the cause of the political landscape we see today. one filled with people often yelling at each other over differences in opinion, no longer engaging in civil discourse.
I do believe that social media is a cancer, and it is taking all of our worst impulses and putting them on steroids. It is driving us to division. It is driving us to hate. These algorithms that have captured our very souls, they've captured our free agency, these dopamine hits that get our young people and our old people addicted to outrage and hate that serve us up on a regular basis are absolutely leading us down a very dark path. The algorithms are absolutely destroying us. Once they know what your political leanings are, then it's like a pack of wolves that just attack. We have this collective problem that we can't solve because we're all sucked in and we don't know how to get out.
Governor Cox on CBS 60 Minutes this weekend, speaking on how he wants the country to tone down the political anger and violence, and how he thinks social media is largely to blame for the state of politics in the United States. Midday continues in just 60 seconds.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code POWER to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code POWER for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code POWER for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
The Supreme Court now being asked to weigh in on what's known as birthright citizenship. It comes after the High Court ruled on one of President Trump's executive orders ending the practice several months ago. In that case, the court ruled that individual judges cannot issue nationwide injunctions, but did not actually rule on the constitutionality of birthright citizenship. Now the president is asking them to look again and make a decision specific to that principle. Hofstra Law professor and constitutional law scholar and ABC News contributor James Sample explains this case to ABC's Devin Dwyer on this episode of the Start Here podcast.
Section 1 of the 14th Amendment states very clearly, all persons born or naturalized in the United States, comma, and subject to the jurisdiction thereof, comma, are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside, end quote. What that has historically meant, and when I say historically, all three branches of government have interpreted that language to signal a broad grant of citizenship. The Congress, the executive branch, and in this instance, most importantly, the Supreme Court all the way back to 1898, they have always interpreted that to mean that unless you are within one of a very narrow set of exceptions, basically diplomats who are not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States, you are an American citizen because you were born on American soil.
And of course, Trump interprets that differently and says so in his order. He claims that unless you have a citizen parent, a baby cannot be born a U.S. citizen. The lower courts in these cases have rejected that argument. But do you actually think, James, that this could be the term where the Supreme Court weighs in on Trump's move once and for all? And it seems to me most legal scholars think that the president will lose this one. What do you think?
I certainly think he should lose this one. I am getting wary as the years go by of saying that Donald Trump should and will lose in the Supreme Court because there is no territory friendlier to Donald Trump than the Supreme Court of the United States, save perhaps for his own Oval Office. This one seems like an extraordinary reach, even by the standards of this Supreme Court vis-a-vis President Trump. This would be a watershed change for the United States in terms of law. The reliance interests for all of the people who are already here in the United States to whom birthright citizenship is a cherished right, and for the nation prospectively, this would be an earthquake if the Supreme Court were to rule in his favor. I don't see that happening.
Birthright citizenship, which now comes to the fore, that was meant for the babies of slaves. It wasn't meant for people trying to scam the system and come into the country on a vacation.
I think that Donald Trump, on a political level, likely sees this as favorable ground in the sense that even if he loses on the law, even if he loses in the Supreme Court, I think even in that scenario, President Trump and many of his political allies would see this as the kind of red meat political fight that they relish, and he would love to run against a loss. He'd certainly prefer to win in this case, and he would consider that, I'm sure, one of his crowning achievements. But a loss here would fire up the base in ways that he sees as favorable.
And you got to wonder if he's thinking about those politics, because if the Supreme Court does take up this case and argue it in the coming term, a decision, as you know, would likely come down sometime before next summer, right in the heart of the midterm election campaign. James Sample, thank you so much.
Thank you.
That is Hofstra law professor James Sample there speaking to ABC's Devin Dwyer on the Start Here podcast. We do have breaking news. Lawmakers in the nation's capital are speaking after they spoke with President Trump today about a possible government shutdown. Let's listen in.
Which is to continue to fund the government with a short-term continuing resolution. It has never been a viewpoint that $1.5 trillion is a reasonable amount of spending to be included on a short-term CR. This is hostage-taking. It is not something that we are going to accept, and we hope that the Democrats come back from the brink, fund this government, and allow us to move forward. Thank you.
Great.
Mr.
What's
Vice
up?
President, so just to be clear, is there room for negotiation here with Democrats? And you mentioned you believe that we are headed toward a government shutdown. Is the federal government preparing to fire federal workers if the government does indeed shut down?
Well, first of all, we have to keep essential services functioning as well as possible if the Democrats shut down the government, and Russ has been tasked with making sure that's possible. Now, you asked about negotiations. One of the things I admired about the president, but frankly the entire team's approach during the conversation we just had with Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries was, they have some crazy ideas. Giving taxpayer money to illegal aliens for health care, that's a crazy idea. Funding transgender surgeries in Peru, that's a crazy idea. But they had some ideas that I actually thought were reasonable, and they had some ideas that the president thought was reasonable. What's not reasonable is to hold those ideas as leverage and to shut down the government unless we give you everything that you want. There were multiple times where Leader Jeffries or Leader Schumer would say, you know what, we should be doing this, and the President of the United States would say, yeah, absolutely, let's have that conversation, but we're going to do it in the context of the people's government being open. We're not going to let you take the people's government hostage and then give you everything that you want. And that's really the state of the negotiation. Yeah, let's have a conversation, let's have a negotiation, but we're not going to shut down the government because we won't give the Democrats everything that they want. Caitlin.
Respond to what Senator Schumer said, that there were aspects about health care ending for certain people that the president was learning about for the first time in that meeting. And was the president open to a deal on the ACA subsidies?
The president was learning about it for the first time thanks to Chuck Schumer. But what I will say is, look, we have put a $50 billion rural hospital fund into the big, beautiful bill that we passed a few months ago, because we know that under Biden administration's policies, there are a lot of small town hospitals, a lot of rural health care that was getting shut down and that was struggling. We're trying to fix that problem. In fact, we're happy to work with Democrats to fix that problem. We want to work across the aisle to make sure that people have access to good health care. We are not going to let Democrats shut down the government, take a hostage, unless we give them everything that they want. That's not how the people's government has ever worked. That's certainly not how it's going to work under the Trump administration.
Vice President Vance, Republican lawmakers, speaking following a meeting with President Trump and Democratic leaders talking about their budget negotiations. Let's get a look at your traffic. It's brought to you by Mountain America. Turn everyday spending into an extraordinary escape. Ricky?
Some very, very good news for drivers who have been sitting it out in these delays westbound on I-80 in the bottom half of Parley's Canyon. All lanes are now open at the mouth of the canyon. We are starting to see traffic moving better. Still some backups remaining between the quarry and Mountaindale, but those should clear out pretty quickly. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
J&J Garden Center is your fall headquarters. Now through November 1st, save 20% on perennials, shrubs, containerized trees, soils, fountains, and more. You'll also find clearance trees up to 50% off. Fall is the perfect time to plant pansies, mums, and fall bulbs. Don't forget pumpkins, gourds, straw bales, and corn stalks. Plus, explore our gift shop for cozy fall decor and seasonal finds. Hurry and visit us in Layton today, and let's get your garden fall ready. J&J Garden Center, where fall begins.
More than 50 million Americans suffer from a form of mental illness.
And Utah isn't immune, with nearly 1 in 3 people dealing with anxiety, depression, or another form of mental illness.
But there's hope. We can all take action to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe.
That's why KSL has teamed with the Huntsman Mental Health Foundation to bring you hope and help you thrive.
It's Healthy Mind Matters.
Find out more at healthymindmatters.com.
Hi, this is Doug Ryden. For years, I've been telling you about products I truly believe in and that we use in our home. And one is Kinetico. We all know the downsides of hard water, tough on home appliances, frustrating spots on shower doors, but it also affects your personality. When you shower, does the water feel invigorating? Hard water can leave your skin feeling sticky and itchy. A Kinetico soft water system changes everything. It's like having a luxurious spa experience when you shower, making your daily routine something you look forward to. Kinetico, it's a difference you can feel. Their patented system uses far less salt than competitors, and they're exclusively focused on water softeners. They're the experts in their field, and they'll show you the difference for free with no obligation to buy. Call Kinetico Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake, an authorized independent dealer, at 801-576-8600, or check them out online at softwaterutah.com. Start enjoying your water. Spoil yourself every day.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Does it feel like someone stabbing a knife into your heel, or does your lower back pain get worse as the day goes on? The Good Feet store wants to help you like we helped Ann.
Every time I stood up, pain just shot up my legs. Fortunately, I found the Good Feet store. I went to them after my doctor diagnosed me with plantar fasciitis. And now, thanks to the Good Feet store, I'm 100% pain-free.
Wouldn't it be nice to get back to doing what you love, like Patrick did?
I was in constant pain. Somehow my fiance and I found our way into the Good Feet store. Put my foot on the arch support system, I put them in my shoes, walked out of the store. All the pain was gone. My back, my knees, my ankles. Thank you. Thank you, everybody at the Good Feet store. You gave me my active life back.
Come in and get your free personalized fitting at the Good Feet store. Find the location nearest you and schedule an appointment at goodfeet.com.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Remembering President Russell M. Nelson. Special coverage on KSL News Radio.
This is Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. From his very first conference talk as an ordained member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints Quorum of the 12 Apostles, President Russell M. Nelson signaled an understanding of the importance of a global ministry.
He directs the affairs of his church by the power of the priesthood and by revelation through prophets who proclaim his doctrine to all people of the world.
It started even before his calling as an apostle. President Nelson spoke about his medical degree as a passport that took him all over the world.
In one country, so many people were sleeping in the streets and on sidewalks that we literally had to step over them as we walked. In another nation, our compassion was stretched almost to the breaking point as we yearned to help countless people in need. Young mothers with babies bundled on their backs begged for money while paddling their little sampan boats, which serve both as their shelter and as their mode of transportation. And oh, how our hearts ached for young men and women of another country who, one by one, were strapped as beasts of burden to wooden-wheeled carts, heavily laden with weighty cargo. As far as our eyes could see, the endless caravan of vehicles continued, pulled by the dint of human toil.
His medical experience combined with his faith to open doors. Elder Neil L. Anderson noted in a 2017 conference talk, he took President Spencer W. Kimball's instructions to heart.
In 1979, 5 years before his call as a general authority, Brother Nelson attended a meeting just prior to General Conference. President Spencer W. Kimball challenged all present to lengthen their stride in taking the gospel to the entire world. Among the countries President Kimball specifically mentioned was China, declaring, "We should be of service to the Chinese. We should learn their language. We should pray for them and help them."
President Nelson then learned Mandarin, introducing open heart surgery to China, performing operations, and lecturing at universities. Over the years, he visited more than 130 countries and continued to speak throughout his ministry about the importance of sharing the gospel. Jeff Kaplan has joined me. Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News is coming up, and we have a lot of stories that we are covering this afternoon.
First of all, the passing of President Nelson. It was such a strange morning yesterday, this reflective morning that turned into something else with the developments in Michigan, and we're still trying to wrap our heads around all of it.
We are. At least now they have gone through all the ashes of that LDS Church ward house, and there are no other people that are not found, so they've recovered everyone.
I hesitate to call it good news, but it is good news.
It is.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Good afternoon, 3 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Jeff Kaplan. We're at 79 degrees. KSL's top story, the president of the Quorum of the 12 Apostles says he's grateful for the prayers and acts of service in the wake of the deadly attack on Latter-day Saints at that stake center in Michigan. We have multiple reports for you. Let's begin now with KSL News Radio's Becky Bruce. Becky?
Jeff, President Dallin H. Oaks, first counselor in the first presidency, shared a message just a few moments ago on Facebook responding both to the tragedy outside of Flint, Michigan, and to the death of President Russell M. Nelson, a man he called a dear friend and a cherished leader. President Oaks says President Nelson's teachings can help guide and provide comfort, especially after this recent violence. He says, "We mourn with our members who have lost loved ones, and we join in prayer for comfort with others around the world who are suffering from similar tragedies," adding, "We are grateful to all who are reaching out with service, prayers, and words of support during this difficult time, and may we all remember the truth that each of us is a beloved child of God." Becky Bruce, KSL News Radio.
Thank you, Becky. Authorities in Michigan say everyone is now accounted for after yesterday's attack on that Latter-day Saints steakhouse. The death toll remains at 5, including the attacker. KSL News Radio's Adam Small with the latest.
Police still aren't saying much about what they think the motive was for what they're calling this targeted act of violence, but they are now telling us the alleged gunman, who's now dead, 40-year-old Thomas Sanford, has been arrested on suspicion of burglary and driving while intoxicated in the past. We're also learning from the chief of staff at a local hospital they treated 8 victims from the church, 5 of which were shot, including 1 child who they say is now stable.
FBI agents have conducted more than 100 interviews trying to determine the motive for the attack. At the official news conference this morning, Michigan's Governor Gretchen Whitmer said online misinformation about a motive for this attack is unhelpful and, in fact, harmful to the investigation.
But I want to caution everyone, while we are working hard, while the good men and women who are working hard are doing so with due diligence, at this juncture, speculation is unhelpful and it can be downright dangerous. So, just ask that people lower the temperature of rhetoric. Keep your loved ones close and keep this community close to your hearts.
Governor Whitmer in Michigan asking the public to let investigators do their jobs. Our top national story this hour, President Trump emerged from a meeting with Israel's prime minister and announced Bibi's on board. Prime Minister Netanyahu has reluctantly agreed to a 20-point Gaza peace plan.
If accepted by Hamas, this proposal calls for the release of all remaining hostages immediately, but in no case more than 72 hours. So the hostages are coming back.
If Hamas agrees to the plan that would require them to gradually disarm, Israel would agree to gradually withdraw from Gaza, which would be run by a peace board chaired by President Trump. While many members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints are grieving the loss of President Russell M. Nelson today, they're also celebrating his life and his teachings. Church News reporter Amy Kobabe says President Nelson advocated for happiness and kindness in a world that can be full of hate and contention.
He always fought for and advocated the opposite. And that made him a true Christian there to follow, love your enemies. That was something I don't think President Nelson had any enemies.
Aside from the many ways President Nelson made his mark on the church, he's also had an impact on the new hymn book. As a gifted musician, he wrote one of the songs.
In 2008, when President Nelson was a member of the Quorum of 12 Apostles, he spoke at a BYU fireside about the power and protection of worthy